Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto was exiled after restoring the Uchiha, and Hinata chose to follow him into the world, part 5. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Oh, Usanova, Micah said as he buried his fist into Akiri Nin's chest. How did you do that? Kakashi asked. Wind knuckle. Micah asked as they continued to lure the invaders deeper into Suna, blowing streets up to route them certain directions. The invaders found the rooftops to be heavily trapped and avoided them now. Wind knuckle. Kakashi asked. Well, I am a wind user. I make attacks based off others have seen, but with my wind. I saw this one traveler. He encased his hand in fire and called it burning knuckle. Same principle, but different element. Kakashi nodded. Naruto has made hundreds of attacks over the years. A lot of the stuff we've made is results of pranks or watching others and their attacks. They did a double spin away, and their backhands holding kunai slammed into the unfortunate Odo Nin's head on either side. So, you were originally from Konoha? Kakashi asked, his memory spotty from the mental blocks from his Anbu days. Hi, Micah said. The third sent me away when my original bloodline activated. I needed to learn how to control it. You have a Kekkei Genkai? Kakashi asked as he grabbed a Mizu Nin and snapped his neck with a quick twist. Had. I sacrificed it in order to give Master Q a chance at freedom. Not sure why he didn't get a body, but the ritual we used was old. Micah said with a shrug and his hand blurred and rock spikes shot up from the ground and impaled the surrounding enemy Nin. Kakashi was thinking, but asked his question while he thought about what he'd learned. What was your Kekkei Genkai? Hemokaden. I could manipulate blood in a person's body once they were cut. Micah said. You were the one who killed the root Anbu 3 years ago. Kakashi said, his eyes widening. Yeah, and you gave it up to free the Kyuubi. Don't take that tone, Kakashi. There is a lot of our tale you don't know, and while Naruto I'm sure told you all a quick highlight version, there are things you don't know. Master Q was as much a victim as Naruto. Kakashi looked over where Naruto and Hinata were causing destruction to all that approached them. He was amazed at the level of teamwork they showed. They worked together covering as if they'd been teamed for years. He saw the Kyuubi's shade moving around distracting enemy ninja. Victim. Look what his influence has done to Naruto. He's a Hanyu now. The citizens of Konoha might have accepted him back, but now. Kakashi had kept quiet about the 9 tails Naruto now sported. Hinata had not been surprised by it, which had him wondering about that. It's as if she knew in advance what he looked like. The former Jonin turned Genin continued to fight, his eyes going to his former student. A wave of nostalgia passed over him. No matter what, I will support Naruto now. I messed up before, and some of it was the mental jutsus placed on me. Inoichi warned me that some of them might still linger due to how long they'd been there before he removed them. The battle was going on and Kakashi forced himself to focus on the task at hand. There will be time for contemplation later. 84. Lee crowed proudly as another nin fell beneath his iron fist style. Neji's Kaden took out 3 more and he smirked at Lee. 8-5. I will win, Neji-kun. Lee said. You can try, Lee-kun. Neji said. Get the lead out. 10-10 said as she ripped open another nin with her claws. Her new style suited her. The Pantera claws were weapons and they caused her to learn hand-to-hand combat. 10-10 smiled at the memories of trying to have Lee and Neji teach her, but those soon turned out into make-out sessions that would have had Jiraiya rocketing off into the Hokage monument from nosebleed propulsion. She'd instead worked with Hana Inuzuka and Gai-sensei. It had taken her quite some time to get over her aversion to hand, but the wild style of the Inuzuka's Reaver style, made up, style, and with Gai-sensei's vast knowledge of taijutsu, 10-10 made her own way and now she could be considered a well-rounded fighter now. And boys, you're behind. She taunted. They looked at her. 106. She said and sauntered away towards the next ambush site. Lee looked at Neji. What do you think she'll do to us? The taijutsu user asked the Hyuga prodigy. The questions, Lee-kun, should be how much we'll enjoy it. Neji said with a smirk and the pair shared a perverted grin and rushed after the third member of their trio. Great attack, Hina-heim. Naruto yelled as he bashed a pair of heads together. He watched as Hinata bent backwards and sent Akiri Nin into the air with a flip kick. A Naruto clone leapt up and sent the nin back down with a double sledgehammer-like blow. The poor nin landed with a sickening sound and didn't move. You as well, Naru-kun, she said as she bobbed and weaved, hitting several Juken attacks and the enemy nin falling back unable to use their arms, but retreat wasn't an option as several Naruto clones would swarm them and they would be dead seconds later. Naruto tails were acting as extra hands and they slammed into ninja with the force of a sledgehammer as well. The body count around the pair was growing, but they were losing ground according to the plan. They would stop and allow the enemy ninja to rally and try and get to Gaara, only to be stopped by Mika, Kakashi, Naruto, Itachi, Nami or Hinata. Gaara, well actually a sand clone as the real one was with Kankuro preparing the final part of the trap, would attack a few, sand kunai killing dozens of invaders. They were slowly losing ground. Kami, these bastards suck. Why can't we just kill them all here and be done with it? Naruto thought as his middle thrust kick sent another nin flying, and those around heard the snap of ribs. Hinata was just as devastating, and the invaders learned that trying to attack the blonde nine-tailed teen next to her guaranteed immediate death. Danzo looked at his group. Their defenses are broken, time for the kill. He motioned his forces forward. I will hand the Kyuubi brat to Lord Orochimaru and after he's discovered the secrets to its power, I will kill him. Nami sent several more arrows into the invaders. Naruto and the others turned a corner and switched places with clones. Nami kept the enemy ninja occupied and once in a while she would charge an arrow and take out several in a blast. She listened to her earpiece that the cage had provided. Retreat. The simple order was given and Nami let loose another arrow before dropping down and joining the others in their escape. The enemy ninja fighting clones and puppets never noticed. Danzo walked through the streets of Sunagaku, his sneer indicating what he thought of the desert nation's crown jewel. Lord Danzo, we have them on the run. The cage is being rushed to the tower, it looks like they wish to make a last stand there. A nin reported. Fools. They make it easier to kill them. Danzo motioned for his command group to head for the tower. They passed the numerous dead bodies of the defenders, not sparing them a single glance. If they had, they would have noticed the facial features falling away. Below the city. I can't believe you have a network of tunnels down here. Mika said as they moved along. The first cage had them dug. Our father thought they were useless. Kankuro said. We used them all the time when we were younger too. He paused and looked down. To hide from me. Gaara said. I understand, and I am glad you and Tamari found ways to stay safe. So, the puppets are now set to blow. How is that going to happen? Naruto asked from where he was next to Hinata. And where do these tunnels go? The puppets are timed to blow soon, once a certain amount of chakra passes the tripwires. Gaara said. And these tunnels will get us to the border. Kankuro said. Tamari used to use it in the hottest months to avoid the worst of the heat in her travels. Hinata and Naruto with the others hurried along. Despite being a mile away now, they didn't want to chance the tunnels near ground zero. Danzo stared at the tower. Fools. He sneered. Bring it down on their heads. He ordered to the group of Iwa nins. They were gathering chakra when the first explosion happened. Danzo looked over his shoulder and saw several areas exploding and they were getting closer. No, he said. He turned as the ground around them erupted to reveal puppets of all shapes and sizes. He watched as they latched onto several of his men and one looked right at him, gave him the finger and said, boom. Danzo grabbed the gem around his neck, given to him by Lord Orochimaru before they'd left Suna. Take me to Lord Orochimaru. He commanded and he left in a flash of light as his army, trapped in Suna, was wiped out as the puppets rose up all over the city and detonated. Suna burned, and the enemy army was killed, at the cost of the village hidden in the sand. Orochimaru looked on as Suna exploded. They were miles away and the smoke and fire brought a smile to his face. Danzo is doing well. He was about to say more when there was a flash of light to his side and Danzo landed in a heap at his feet. The former councilman of Konoha looked up. The army is gone, he said. Orochimaru's smile vanished and the yell of rage could be heard at the borders where the heroes were exiting and beginning the next phase of their plan. Tsunade smiled as she read the report. Jiraiya leaning against the wall was getting impatient. Well, they decimated the forces that attacked Suna, and Naruto's friend, the Melwasu heir, delayed and did some damage to Orochimaru's main force in wave, forcing them to reroute back through Suna and pass. Have the team left yet? The Toad Sanin asked. Yes. Hana and Kiba both are taking several of the Inuzuka hounds, along with Shino, Tamari and Shikamaru. All your eggs in one basket, Haim. Jiraiya said. I want to make sure they get back here. The Hokage said. All of them are just a certain blonde Gaki we both know and love. Tsunade handed him a scroll. This came from Kakashi describing both Mikahamaru and Naruto's appearances, along with the abilities he witnessed. Jiraiya read it and whistled. A chakra bomb, and wind manipulation without wasting chakra. He then looked at his former teammate. What are we going to do about their appearances? You know most of the civilian population isn't too intelligent. Tsunade sighed, remembering the visit from the Kyuubi. I don't know. But if Naruto leaves, then so do I. I only took this job because of him. I don't care if he has 9 or 900 tails, he's the brat I think of as my own. Jiraiya nodded, figuring that. I agree with you. Wherever the brat ends up, I'll be there too. The two teammates shared a look, and in spoken accord reached. So, what can I do? He asked. You're going to stay? She asked. I'm sorry I missed the little insurrection, but I was gathering information. It seems the Akatsuki are down to only 2 or 3 members, and they're not that powerful. Someone is hunting them down, but there is only vague descriptions of the attacker that matches the report from Asuma. Tsunade shook her head. As long as they're not chasing Naruto, I don't give a damn if they wipe each other out. She pointed at the city map. I want you and Gamabunta at the gate when Orochimaru get here. We're going to face him while everyone else deals with his army. And the Uchiha? Jiraiya asked. Tsunade gave a feral smile. I think Naruto will want to deal with him. It's been long overdue, of course that's if Hinata don't beat him to it. Jiraiya shuddered, remembering his own encounter with the spirit of vengeance possessed Hyuga and his inability to move after she was done with him. Never again will I throw Naruto off a cliff or endanger him in any kind of training. I will respect him and give him the attention as a sensei should. Jiraiya blinked at that. She's good. Tsunade, guessing what her teammate was thinking, laughed. She does get her point across when it comes to Naruto. The Suna-Konoha border. Kakashi staggered back from the slap and looked at Hinata in shock. How dare you? She said. The Hokage needed to know too. Kakashi Hatake, you sent an unsupervised message without permission, during a war. Hinata said. She was pissed. Hinata, the Hokage needed to know of Naruto and Mika's appearances. They show up in Konoha looking like the fox Kakashi. Naruto asked from where he was leaning against a tree. Mika was with Nami next to him. The Kyuubi shade was floating around, scouting out the area. Naruto, I accept these changes, but the rest of Konoha never will. Naruto said. I figured that when it happened. I won't stay. No. Hinata whirled around to face him. You'd leave me? She asked, her voice becoming soft. No. Naruto said and was standing before her, his clawed hands taking hers in, and she looked up into his blue eyes. No, I wouldn't leave you behind. I would ask you to come with me. She can't. Itachi said, and the others looked at him. She would be marked as a. I would retire as a shinobi of Konoha and go with Naruto-kun. Hinata said, looking at the older Uchiha. You would leave Konoha? Neji asked from where he was sitting between Lee and Tenten. If Naruto isn't welcome, then I too will leave. I want no part of a village that can't appreciate their true heroes. Yosh. The fires of Lee's yell was cut off by Tenten reaching around Neji and covering his mouth. Indoor voice, Lee-kun. We're in dangerous territory. Sorry Ten-chan, I get excited and forget. Lee said, kissing the palm of her hand in gratitude. Hinata. Naruto said, getting her attention. We'll see what happens in Konoha. Nothing will be decided until the war is over. She nodded and squeezed his hands. Naruto looked at Kakashi. The older nin sighed and looked away. I failed him again. Why must I keep doing the wrong things in regard to Naruto? Gaara was talking to several of his commanders. Scouts report Danzo survived Suna and joined up with Orochimaru's main force. They'll be here in less than an hour. Remember the plan, Itachi said. Small alterations, Mika said from where he was sitting. Nami was next to him preparing several special arrows. Such as? Itachi asked. I and Nami wait here. I hit a Kamehameha and fall back. Orochimaru will slow down drastically with that, not wanting to endanger his troops till Konoha. Then we fall back to the next area where we hit them with hit and run attacks from the side with shuriken and kunai barrages, like the original plan. Nami said. They get to the valley. Me and Gaara can slow them down more with Naruto. The wave of killing intent behind him had Micah pause and look at both Nami and Hinata, who was glaring at him. Hinata. Nami said. Yes, Nami-san. Hinata responded. Do you notice his plans tend to place himself and Naruto in the most harmful situations, without regard to their girlfriend's thoughts or concerns? I've noticed that. Naruto-kun does the same thing. Both exchanged a look and both grabbed their respective boys and dragged them away from the rest of the group, each going the opposite direction. Kankuro looked one way, then the other and shook his head. Women are scary, he muttered. With Micah and Nami. Nami slowed down. Micah tried to reason with her, but she wasn't listening at that moment. Her temper was getting the best of her and she was going to let him know what she thought and felt, and he wasn't going to continue to take these risks that left him torn up. When she felt they were far enough from the others, she stopped and rounded on him. Why? She demanded. That's a broad question that covers a lot of ground. And I have one for you. Girlfriend. Nami huffed. What? You don't like me? She fired back. It's not that. Am I not pretty enough? Nami continued. No, you're very beautiful, Micah tried, but Nami continued to build steam. Then why is it you seem to want to kill yourself instead of answering the bond? Nami said, and Micah froze. She knows about it. I can feel you constantly now. Nami said, gaining his attention back. You're here always. I don't if it's what happened in the Underverse, the bond from my grandfather's sword or some strange magic. But I feel you always now. I know where you are without looking, your emotions, I can feel them like a second skin. Micah looked at her, not sure what to say. It's my fault, he finally said. Hinata and Naruto. Hinata shoved him against the tree and held him there, her tiny hand to his chest. Stop trying to take on all the responsibility, it's not yours, Naruto-kun. Sasuke are traitors and not your responsibility. We do this right, we kill them both and we leave Konoha. You would really leave Konoha for me? Naruto asked, his voice softening and his eyes shadowed. Hinata, seeing the Naruto beyond his mask slip out. She hugged him. I would. You are all that matter to me, Naruto-kun. Ever since I was a little girl and you stood up to those bullies. I remember you when I was 5 years old. I watched you since then. I killed my father. In the last 3 years I've fought to protect you and become stronger for you to notice me. Hinata buried her head against his chest. I removed myself from Hyuga matters and will not take a family name unless it's yours. If you want to live in Konoha, that is fine. If you want to travel the world, that is too. I don't care where you go, as long as I go with you. Naruto sighed. He was full of doubts. He was worried about Hinata. He was a freak. I have 9 tails and whisker marks. I control a mystical ability called Vunla, and my best friend brother is a draconian, while I am a kitsune in the making. Everything in Naruto was screaming at him to mark his mate and make her his. But his human side was telling him to let her go. To let her be free of his stigma. Vunla, what am I to do? In the short time I've really gotten to know her, I can't think of time without her, but if she stays, she will be branded and an outcast. Not in Underverse. Naruto closed his eyes. Takasis. There was nothing, and Naruto held onto Hinata. I don't want to lose you, Naruto-kun. I want to be with you always. Hinata said, and Naruto felt her rubbing her nose against his chest. Are you wiping your snot on me? He asked, and Hinata laughed. Nami and Micah. Micah ducked the punch and sighed. What do you mean it's your fault? The lavender-haired archer demanded. Thank Kami she's not using her bow. I'd be a pincushion. Micah thought as he ducked a roundhouse kick. Will you stop trying to hit me and let me tell you what I think is happening? Nami stopped in mid-swing, her fist inches from his nose. Micah sighed. Women. The scariest thing in the world when they're mad. He thought and sighed, taking a step back and to put a bit of distance between him and the irate female. He sighed. Pheromones. I think something caused me to jumpstart my changes, and my pheromones latched onto you, and formed the bond. When we were laying next to one another back in the Underverse on the tundra, something in me saw you as my mate. So biology. Nami said, relaxing her stance. Micah nodded. Actually, I think Stormbringer is responsible. The sword is sentient and it's been bonding with me since I picked it up. Stormbringer? Nami asked. Micah pulled the sword and Nami saw there were some cosmetic changes. Air and lightning seemed to be dancing along the blade. She saw the grip had changed as well. The grip was wrapped in black hide now. She also saw the guard was etched with a dragon instead of her family crest. It has truly passed on to you, she said. Micah looked at the blade. Seems the mind in it is asleep, but I figure the power it let me use to escape Orochimaru was a chunk of its power, as it has been a while since it was actually wielded by someone who could use its power. Nami looked at the draconian before her. Back to our discussion. Yeah, girlfriend, he said with a smile, and Nami cursed her temper at times. By her vocally claiming him, she let him know that she was interested and the game's rules had just changed between them. A slip of the tongue. Some things are different in Maida. Micah laughed as he snagged an arm out and pulled her to him. His eyes danced with merriment. You know, I heard what you were willing to do if Ponfar. I was willing to risk myself to contain you if you were out of control with lust. Nami fired back. Her hand was on his chest and she was having a hard time focusing on anything but the sensation of him touching her. I wasn't out of control. My mate was right there. Micah fired back. Your mate, Nami said. Her other hand was inching up and hooked over his shoulder, her fingers threading into his long silver hair. Micah leaned in, his face an inch from hers. They were breathing in each other. Do you want to be? He asked. Her response wasn't physical. She kissed him, and they both felt as if they were aflame as their tongues battled for dominance. Naruto and Hinata. Hinata looked into the fox-slit blue eyes as she leaned into Naruto. No more playing the hero. I don't want a dead husband. Husband, Naruto said. That was sudden. Hinata blushed and looked down for a moment, then she looked up at him, determination in her eyes. Yes. You are mine, Naruto, as I am yours. I want to be your wife, have your children. I don't care if they're mortal or Han you. I don't care if you have 9 tails or were the rambunctious boy I first saw playing pranks on the 3rd Hokage. I don't want to be separated from you ever again. You know how much danger and pain that will bring to you, Hinata. The villagers hated me before. I don't want to see you suffer. Hinata looked at him. The underverse. You said you were accepted there, no matter your looks. Naruto smiled. He had told her everything during their rest periods. I can't say no to her. Especially when she's sitting in my lap, rubbing my chest or tails and then looks up at me with love kit. Takasis. Is that you? Nothing responded, and Naruto was allowing Hinata to manipulate him into a position against the tree, and he realized it too late as she straddled his lap and was kissing him. Love, I like it. Naruto thought as Hinata kissed away his doubts and concerns. We need to move out, Gaara said as a runner approached. The scouts say they're not far now. Kakashi looked up from where he'd been meditating. Actually, he'd been watching the interaction between Guy's 3 students and could have sworn it was similar to an issue of Makeout Paradise Special Gold Edition, but since Hinata had destroyed his books he couldn't be certain. She ruined perfectly good books, but I do admit it got my attention. He sighed and shook his head mentally. The others aren't back yet, Itachi said from his position where he was guarding Gaara. I'll go and find Naruto and Hinata, Kakashi said. And before the others could say anything he was on his feet and gone. Itachi looked at the others. I'll find Micah and Nami then, he said and strolled off in the direction the pair had gone. Gaara shook his head. Mistake, he muttered as an eye of sand drifted back and entered the gourd on his back. Kankuro watched his brother, who seemed to blush, and wondered what that eye had seen. Orochimaru growled as he looked at the burned-out remains of Suna. Find them, he ordered. Last count they were in the Cage's tower before the explosions. Danzo said. Orochimaru backhanded him and rounded on him. You fool. You walked right into their trap. They have led you around by your nose the whole time. Orochimaru hissed something to Shang, who responded in kind. The Sannin sneered. There are no bodies in the ruins. They drew you in and blew up the whole damned village. Orochimaru looked over at Sasuke, who was leaning against the shell of a building, his arms crossed and eyes closed. Sakura was several feet away. Where is your servant, Sai? He asked. I do not know, Lord Orochimaru. The boy has been missing since before the attack. Danzo barely dodged another blow. He's been spying on us for Konoha. No. Sai is mine. He's been my tool since he was a child. He wouldn't. Orochimaru's arm extended and he had Danzo by the throat. You fool. He was a tool to the third and now fifth Hokage. I am not. They all turned as a shadow slipped from the ground and formed the young root member. I have been doing as I was ordered and watching over Uchiha. Sai said emotionlessly. Orochimaru looked at him with a quirked eyebrow. Danzo looked embarrassed as he never changed the orders he'd given the young operative, and Sai followed the letters of command down to the period. Get the army moving. The scouts say that the Kyuubi brat and the Kazekage are not far from here. We will catch up and eliminate them. Orochimaru said. And of the Uchiha? Danzo asked. Orochimaru looked at him. His runners will catch up. He looked where the Uchiha was standing. Sakura. She bowed in the unspoken commands from Orochimaru. He saw Danzo watching his former operative and sneered. Remember Danzo, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine as well. Haruno is more important than you, and when the time comes, you shall be sacrificed. Danzo watched the pink-haired operative walk to the Uchiha, a sinking feeling hit his gut. Naruto and Hinata. His mind was fogged, he knew his hands were cupping her backside and she was plundering his mouth. The slight buzz of his Vunla senses were telling him something, but his mind and another part of his body were ignoring it and drawing his whole attention. A cough from behind Hinata had a pair of kunai grazed Kakashi's arms. Hinata turned and glared at the former Jonin turned Genin. Her eyes became black, and Kakashi took a step back. Naruto was struggling to get his mind out of his pants, and the only thing that probably saved Kakashi's life was Naruto's grip on Hinata's posterior. Kakashi took several deep breaths and wondered if that was a flash of his life before his eyes. Finding his voice, he spoke. We need to move out. Gaara and Itachi have decided on our course of action. Hinata was still glaring at him. We really need to move now, he said nervously. Hinata closed her eyes and cursed the man's timing. We'll be there in a moment, she said, calming herself as best she could. She could feel the effect she'd had on Naruto and she really wanted to continue, but she knew it wasn't safe place to do this. Kakashi still hadn't moved. Hinata still had her eyes closed. If you don't turn around and go back to the others, Hitaki, I will make sure you never read another of those books you treasure again, as I will rip off you manhood and rip your eyes out. She opened her eyes to find the man gone. She turned back to Naruto and sighed. We'll finish this later. She kissed him gently and stood up. Naruto still hadn't moved and Hinata saw why. She blushed thinking of the size. Naruto watched as the young woman who put him in this situation blushed an even deeper red after staring at his crotch slumped down unconscious. Ah man, he says, wondering if anyone else had days like this. Mika and Nami. Nami had swept his legs out from under him and was straddling his waist as they continued their duel with their tongues. Neither could separate without the other pursuing and recapturing the other's lips. Nami's hands were occupied, one gripping his hair, the other tugging his shirt, while Mika's hands were working the belt around her waist. We do not have time for this. Mika sent a blast of air towards the voice, it pierced a tree, splitting it in half. Nami rolled off, her hands coming up with a pair of wicked-looking trench knives. Where the hell did she get those from? Mika and Itachi both thought. The Uchiha was across from where he's originally stood on a branch looking down. He'd barely avoided the wind spike and was looking at the pair he'd interrupted. We need to move out. You need to rejoin the others, Itachi said, having both the Draconian and the archer looking at him. He nearly physically shuddered. I suggest you fix yourselves up before you do. Itachi vanished with a shunshin. Nami looked down and found her shirt gone, leaving her in her light blue sports bra, and her utility belt gone and her pants opened. She spun and looked at Mika and saw he was in a similar state and she blushed. How did I get his shirt off without ripping it? Mika shook himself and stood, readjusting his pants, and thanked Kami they were baggy enough to hide his arousal from Nami's assault. Man, I finally decide to work on the bond, and this happens. Doesn't this ever happen to anyone else? The pair fixed their clothing and weapons. Nami leaned in and kissed him. We will continue this, and the next person who interrupts us will be used for target practice. She growled and was off. Mika watched her go. He was finding it hard to remove his eyes from her swaying hips. Mental note: kill Orochimaru for messing up my chance to get laid. Yeah, that's a perfect excuse to kill someone, right? Mika shook his head and hurried after the lavender-haired archer. In the back of his mind he could hear Stormbringer snickering. Groups. Gaara said nothing as the blonde Ninetail came back with Hinata. Both seemed rather flushed. Wonder if they were doing anything from chapter 6. The Cage mentally shook himself and thanked Kami for Ika. Mika and Nami returned as well and he nodded to the silver-haired dragon Hanyu. The scouts report that they are engaging the advance guard for Orochimaru's forces. He motioned for Itachi, who pulled out a map and placed it on the ground. We'll meet a group from Konoha here. He pointed on the map. At this stage, the command group is to make haste to Konoha. Soon as forces and several squads from Konoha will harass Orochimaru's army from here to here. He pointed to a pass. At this point a group from Konoha will attempt to bury Orochimaru and his army in a rock slide, but with Iwa there it's not likely to work. Kakashi pointed at another spot on the map. Last reports were this area has been filled with traps, that will slow down their advance some more. Konoha will need it, Itachi said. Why? Shouldn't they be ready by now? Naruto asked. Civil war broke out. The Haruno clan destabilized numerous defenses. Itachi said, petting the messenger raven on his shoulder. Our spy also informs us that there is friction between Danzo, Sasuke and Orochimaru. Naruto growled at those names. All three of them earned and kicking from him. Danzo the most thus far with the traitor and the snake Sannin tied for second. Mika looked at the map. Nami and I positioned here would be a good delay. He said, bringing up his earlier plan. Negative. The Hokage wants us all back to Konoha. Itachi said. We are to make haste while the Suna and Konoha teams delay them. Mika shook his head. They have a sorcerer with them. He reminded them of his encounter with Orochimaru in Wave. Can't be helped. Kakashi said. He looked at Hinata and remembered the slap from before. So, Konoha. Naruto said. Hinata took his hand. She could tell he wasn't ready to go back to the place that threw him away. Mika and Naruto shared a look. Blue fox eyes met gold-red dragon eyes. Both knew come hell or high water, Konoha wasn't their home any longer. Naruto was going back for his precious people. Mika was going back because of Naruto. Move out, Gaara said. 4 squads of Suna Nin remained behind to begin the ambushes. I'm really developing a strong dislike for Orochimaru and all who follow him. Mika said as they killed another advance scouting group. They'd been forced to stop and fight several times as scouting groups would catch up to them. Hiba and Hana were having a blast. The Inuzuka hounds were in 7th heaven ripping apart enemy nins, the chance to cut loose running deep to their cores. Naruto with a ridge-like strike with his hand looked at his brother and raised an eyebrow. Only developing now. I've hated the snake bastard since he attacked us during the Chunin exam. Hinata shook her head as the boys were having too much fun. Nami was bandaging her forearm where one nin had gotten a luck hit in. The girls had talked a bit during the journey. Hinata was concerned with Naruto's lack of self-worth. Nami admitted that the blonde seemed to be bipolar at times. Hinata asked the slightly older girl what she could do about it, as she had spent time around the blonde Ninetail Hanyu. Just be patient with him. Remind him you care and nothing will separate you two. The lavender-haired archer had said. Hinata asked her about Mika and Nami had blushed and looked away and Hinata smiled seeing she wasn't the only one to turn that shade of red. We need to get moving. Hana said. Her dogs were getting tired with the constant battles, and the Suna forces were slowly losing numbers. The ravine is flooded. Hiba said from where he was with Akamaru. Naruto looked at him. Spring rain season. Hiba said. Naruto sighed, remembering an early genin assignment where Team 7 had been forced to help escort wagons. The blonde had been stuck doing the work. Kakashi was too busy reading his smut. Sasuke wouldn't demean himself with heavy manual labor and Sakura shrieked at him when he asked for her to help get a wagon unstuck. It had taken a liberal amount of Kage Bunshin to get them out and on the dry paths. Mika looked at him. And with that, they'll swing south. He said. Kakashi looked at the map with Itachi. They'll run into the traps, but we won't be able to slow them much there. Naruto growled. Tem and the snake pedophile are wearing us down. He looked over at Mika and the two shared a look. They both formed the familiar cross seals and while everyone was looking at the map to decide their actions, they left a shadow clone in their place and slipped away. They were nearly a mile away and silently looked at one another. This keeps up. Orochimaru and his army will nearly be intact at Konoha's gates. Mika said. I know. Naruto said. He looked around. Q's still with them. How long before they figure out we snuck off? Micah shook his head. Not for some time, I hope. Nami will turn me into a pincushion for sure after this is all done. Naruto smirked. So, what's the plan? Yes, what is the plan? Both spun. Naruto's hand holding one of his mecharsapans, the orange blade blazing to life with the snap hiss, and the slight hum filling the air. Micah held Stormbringer before him. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said, releasing his breath. You didn't think you got away alone, did you? The former Jonin turned Genin said with a U-shaped eye smile. We're going to delay Orochimaru's main force a bit more. Naruto admitted. And how do you plan to do that? Kakashi asked. Frontal assault. Micah said with a shrug. Naruto shared a similar shrug and Kakashi looked at the pair in disbelief. Before he could comment, they were attacked by another squad. Naruto-kun, are you listening? Hinata asked as they were walking. He'd been rather quiet for nearly a half hour. She saw that Kakashi and Micah too had been quiet for too long. With a sinking feeling she activated her Byakugan. She couldn't see anything wrong, it was then she noticed the difference. The hilts of Naruto's mechasapan weren't showing any chakra whatsoever. She looked at Micah and saw that the sword on his back was blank also. She looked at the shadow clone. You are in so much trouble when you come back, she said and smacked the clone on the arm. It gave her an apologetic look before puffing away. What the hell? Konkuro yelled. Nami looked at Micah who shrugged and went up in a puff of smoke along with Kakashi. Shadow clones, Itachi said from his position near Gaara. When? The Uchiha shrugged. All three of them are good. So since we've been on the move. Nami was swearing in Maida. What should we do? Neji asked standing next to Hinata. We continue to move. Gaara said in monotone. They will either catch up when they finish whatever it is they planned, or they won't. Gaara hated thinking that thought, and more so speaking it out loud. He saw Hinata and the archer looking back the way they came. They'd been on the move constantly and had covered a lot of ground. We'll set up camp at the third stop, Itachi said. It was an expanse of forest that was littered with patrols and traps. Naruto-kun, come back safe. Hinata thought. You better come back so I can smack you for this stupidity. Nami thought. Wonder if I can get Hinata to make that beef roll she used to make. Hiba thought, scratching Akamaru behind the ears. Naruto's clones stacked the dead nins to the side and they vanished. Further ahead, the three were watching as Orochimaru was having his forces level the trees. What are they doing? Micah asked softly. They're going to use the woods to build siege engines and at the same time destroy traps that were set out before them. Kakashi said, his eyes spotting the leaders at the far back. We won't be able to get the commanders, he said. Naruto grunted, and Kakashi heard the word, tem. More than once. Can you do that Kameha thing? Kakashi asked. Micah sighed. Once more for certain, but it will weaken me. I regroup fast, but that's a lot of chakra to pump out and then be expected to run and or fight after, the silver-haired Hanyu shrugged. Naruto was looking at the layout of the army. What about that other one? He asked. Micah winced and drew the Hanzo sword. He looked at Stormbringer as if holding a conversation and nodded. Now, I wouldn't do that if I were you. A voice said. All three turned to see Sai with 9 Iwa nins. Konoha. Tsunade was poring over reports and the evacuation to the shelters was going slow. She looked at the message she'd gotten from Itachi and shook her head. Orochimaru's forces are advancing faster than we thought possible. She reached for her teacup and was picking it up when it cracked. She looked at it in surprise. That can't be good, she thought. Kakashi was moving and his kunai buried in the throat of a Iwa ninja before he could blink. Naruto was reaching for his weapons when another voice behind him stopped him cold. Long time no see, Dobi. I guess the rumors were true. You are nothing but a dumb animal. Naruto glanced over his shoulder. Sasuke, he said, his voice holding no malice, just a cold detachment. Before Micah, Naruto or Kakashi could move, a voice hissed out. Gravity seal, 100 Gs. The three were slammed to the ground hard as the cloaked Shang seemed to rise from the shadows. Kakashi groaned as he was pushed into the dirt harder. The gravity attack was shoving the three into the dirt hard. Lord Orochimaru wants them alive, Sai said emotionlessly. The sorcerer said nothing, but with a gesture, the three were bound hands to ankles and the gravity around them returned to normal. Still a loser, Dobi. Sasuke sneered as he ordered several ninja to pick up the 3 captured ninja. Orochimaru is going to enjoy speaking with you, why he may even find a proper use for you. Naruto glared at his former teammate. His tails were whipping about him wildly until the sorcerer bowed them tightly against his back, and he winced at the pressure they and his ribs were under. Kakashi looked at his former student sadly, he saw how badly right there he'd messed up. Sasuke is too spoiled and arrogant. Why didn't I see it sooner? Micah looked at the sorcerer. He couldn't see the face behind the shadow mist mask, but he knew the being's eyes were on the Hanzo sword. An Iowa ninja picked it up and screamed as the sword's defenses kicked in and electrocuted the man. After a minute the nin fell back, his blacked and smoking body indicating to all what would happen if you touched that blade. Shang saw the sword, but he couldn't tell which blade it was. It changed its appearance. Master will not be pleased to hear of one of the blades being about, and in the hands of a Hanyu. Shang waved a hand and the blade was encased in a block of ice. He gestured for another nin to pick it up and then they proceeded to return to the camp where Lord Orochimaru waited. They've been captured. 3 words. 3 simple words turned the group upside down. What do you mean they've been captured? Nami asked looking at the older Uchiha. Our spy just sent me a message. Kakashi, Naruto and Micah were cornered and captured by Sasuke and the sorcerer. Itachi said reading the message. They're being taken to Orochimaru. Hinata was frozen. Nami was wide-eyed. We must do something to rescue them. Lee said clenching his fist. No. Itachi said cutting off the others who agreed instantly with Lee. What? Why? Nami demanded. Our responsibility is to get Gaara to Konoha. We cannot risk the Kage's life for 3 men, no matter who they are. Itachi said. Hinata was before him, her eyes black as night. Striking me will not make it any less true. We have a duty, and Konoha will need us there to bolster the defenses when Orochimaru arrives. Hinata was silent. Her pure black eyes stared into Itachi's. The Uchiha twitched but that was it. Well the hell with you. Nami said. I'm not a ninja of your village, and the only ones I owe loyalty to are Naruto and Micah. The lavender-haired archer said, her hand tightening around her bow. It would be suicide. Neji said from where he stood a hand on Lee's shoulder. Naruto would want us to finish the mission. Lee bowed his head at this. He knew Neji was right. So did Hinata. She didn't like it one bit. You all might not, but I can at least keep an eye on them until help arrives. Kyuubi said from where he was floating near Nami. I might not be able to interact with the world, but I can advise the kid if he needs it. Nami snorted. Why didn't you advise him and Micah that their sneaking off was a bad idea? Kyuubi looked at the archer and sighed. I didn't think they would actually do it, and when they pulled the switch I wasn't watching them. Gaara stood to the side listening in. He didn't agree with Itachi. I don't need to be coddled or protected. His gaze turned in the direction from where they knew Orochimaru's army was coming from. He took a step in that direction and felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Kankuro there shaking his head. Tamari will kill me if you don't arrive in Konoha. The puppet user said. I owe Naruto much. Gaara said, his raccoon-like eyes turning back towards the direction he knew his blonde friend was in. Kankuro was at a loss. He agreed with Gaara. The Suna Sibs owed the blonde much for what he'd done for Gaara. They listened as Hinata, Lee and Nami wanted to go rescue the others. Naruto would do it for you. Lee shouted. Enough. Gaara said, his soft voice carrying over the others. The issue is moot. What do you mean Lord Kazekage? Ten asked from near Lee and Neji. Because pretty, you won't be alive to rescue anybody. A voice said and they turned to see Ninja rise up from the ground. His flesh was made of dirt and stone. With him a figure descended from the sky with gossamer wings. She held a long spear with a serrated head. Another figure melted out of a tree. What are they? Nami asked backing up, her bow up with an arrow aimed at the nearest target. Orochimaru's abominations. Itachi said. Failed lab experiments. We might be failed experiments, but we are still useful to Lord Orochimaru. We shall show him how useful when we bring him all of you dead. The dirt nin said. The woman with wings leapt to the air. Enough stone. Mesh. Let's kill them all. You're right Mothma. The one that melted from the tree said. Mokuden. He sneered and tree roots exploded from the earth to attack the Suna Konoha nin. Orochimaru's camp. Naruto and the others were shoved to their knees outside the tent of Orochimaru. The snake Sanin looked at them from his throne and sneered. What is this? Termites in the woods. They were planning on attacking the troops. Sasuke said. Behind him his guards spread out. Kakashi, the Kyuubi brat and our friend from Wave. Kukukuku. Seems like I get to deal with you far sooner than I'd expected. You think that snake? I've lured you into a false sense of security is all. I have you all right where I want you. Micah said. At this the gathered enemy ninja laughed. Shang hovered near the back, the Hanzo sword in ice. Orochimaru saw the sorcerer and the sword. His attention however moved to Sasuke as the Uchiha reached out and took something from the Kyuubi brat's belt. What's this doby? Naruto saw him holding it up to his face and he sent out a Bunla pulse. Orochimaru knocked the weapon aside in time, saving the Uchiha from having his head drilled by the chakra blade. A Raijin. Impressive weapon Naruto-kun. Orochimaru purred picking up the orange-bladed weapon. And far too dangerous to be in the hands of someone like you. The snake Sanin studied the weapon and flicked the switch off. He passed it to Sasuke. Be careful with this Sasuke-kun. It is a powerful weapon. Sasuke sneered. If it's so powerful, what is the doby doing with it? Orochimaru shook his head. Thankfully when I take over his body the mind and soul are destroyed. He is an idiot, too arrogant in his bloodline and family name. Naruto remained silent, his fox-slit eyes glaring at his former teammate. Forget the idiot fox Sasuke. Sakura said stepping into the meeting. Bitch. Naruto muttered and got a backhand slap that drove him into the ground. Finally lived up to your heritage Baka. Sakura said. Nothing more than an animal that should be put down. She looked at Orochimaru. I know you wish to study him Lord Orochimaru, but allow me to kill him. We just need his genetic makeup to study, he doesn't need to be alive. Kakashi looked at the two former members of his team. I failed as a sensei on so many levels. Tsunade was right in demoting me. I became too blind, too proud of accomplishments that I stole. Not yet my little blossom. Orochimaru said caressing her cheek. He looked at the three prisoners. I think it's time we see what they know first. Shang. The sorcerer drifted forward, the ice-encased sword following behind him. Make them talk. Orochimaru ordered. Shang bowed his cloak and shadow-covered head and floated towards the kneeling trio. It is a shame. You could have been great young dragon. Shang hissed as he hovered over Micah. Yeah, and you could have been important. Micah said. But you're just full of hot air. The gust of wind slammed into Shang and sent him crashing into the guards. Now, Micah said and leapt to his feet, Kakashi as well, both of them snapping their bonds. Naruto, still dazed and bound heavily, could only watch as the two fought off guards. Micah sent waves of wind at Orochimaru and Sakura. They fled along with Sasuke. Son of a bitch. He has my Mekardsapan. Naruto growled and his chakra swirled around him and snapped the bonds. He sprang to his feet, ready to pursue, but found a wall of ninja blocking his path. We need to get out of here. Micah said. He looked at the frozen sword and was heading towards it when it was swallowed by a portal. Micah spun to see Shang. You bastard. He drew on his anger and power and slammed his hands together. Wind style. Kakashi turned and watched as a huge shape took form overhead. Wind Dragon Jutsu. Iron Reaver. Soul Sealer. The Dragon of Wind tore through Shang and the sorcerer's scream was heard all the way to Konoha as his soul was shredded from his body and scattered to the winds. Correction. Shang and the ninja behind him suffered this as they couldn't escape the wrath of the Draconian. Naruto created shadow clones and using his remaining chakra blade cut a path of destruction. They were nearly out of the camp when they came across Sasuke and nearly 20 ninja. You're not going anywhere. The Uchiha said and he went to attack Naruto, but Kakashi was in his way. The two slammed together and their fists were leaving welts where they connected. Kakashi sent Sasuke back, and looked over his shoulder. Go. Warn Konoha. He ordered and went back diving into the swarm of ninja. Micah and Naruto wanted to help, but more Iwa, Oto and Kumo ninja were approaching. Run. Kakashi said taking a hard blow from Sasuke. Tell them what you saw. Naruto looked at Micah. Both boys didn't want to, but Orochimaru was coming and he had summoned nearly 20 snakes the size of a large building. Kakashi was using jutsus to thin the pursuing forces. Micah saw the Jonin turned Genin's eyes and nodded. He grabbed Naruto and was off like a shot into the air. The blonde nine-tail screaming about leaving Kakashi behind. Looks like they're nothing more than trash, if what you always believed in was true, Hatake. Sasuke sneered. No. The good of the many outweigh the good of the few, or the one. The ninja formed a circle around Kakashi, breaking off all chances of escape. He felt a barrier go up and knew he couldn't shushin out of here. He looked at his former student. You were to be the best of us. You were meant to be a defender of Konoha, protector of the will of fire. Not betray us. Sasuke laughed. I told you that day long ago, Hatake. I am an avenger. I will do whatever it takes to become strong enough to defeat and kill my brother. You'll never become strong, Sasuke. You're always going to be that weak, whining little boy Itachi allowed to live when he killed Yu clan to protect Naruto. Kakashi said. He formed the Chidori and attacked. Sasuke was waiting for that and without thinking pulled the weapon he'd taken off Naruto and activated it. In a blindingly fast move he sidestepped the assassination move and lopped off Kakashi's arm. The silver-haired Jonin turned Genin, howled in pain and dropped to his knees in pain. He looked at the smoking nub of his arm that ended just below the elbow. To think, I might have at one point in time respected you. Thankfully that moment passed and I saw you for the weakling you were. Sasuke said and spun, decapitating Kakashi with the orange blade. Sasuke sneered. He loved the feeling of power, and he looked at the new weapon he'd acquired. With this Raijin, I have the power to kill Itachi. Go back. We've got to go back. Naruto yelled while struggling to escape Mika's grip. The Draconian's grip tightened on his brother's waist. Naruto, stop. Naruto looked at him. We can't leave him. We had to. Mika said. He'd known the moment he'd seen Kakashi's eyes. The silver-haired man was going to die to buy them a chance to escape. He would not throw that away no matter what. Kakashi always said that those who abandon their friends are trash. We didn't abandon him, Naruto. He made a choice. He chose to stay and delay them. We need to tell Konoha about the siege weapons that Orochimaru is building. Why didn't you attack with your Kamehameha? Mika didn't answer. His thoughts had turned to the fact that the Hanzo sword was gone. He had no clue where the sorcerer had sent it. Kid. Stormbringer. Yeah, I'm weakened by the ice, but if you can, summon me. How? Foos. Mika was concerned the connection to the blade was weakening even after this short amount of time. He did as the blade instructed. He pictured it in his mind. His chakra flared. Hey, what the hell? Naruto, who had been talking about what they could have done to save Kakashi, realized that the Draconian wasn't listening and had a glazed look. There was a bang and a flash and he saw the Hanzo sword materialize in its scabbard. Sadly, this had another effect. Mika used too much chakra to summon the blade across the dimensions, and with that they plummeted towards the ground. AWWWWW, Sheetttt. Naruto yelled, seeing the ground rushing up. He did the only thing he could think of. Shadow clone jutsu. Hundreds of Narutos appeared in the air and Naruto yelled. Transform. And they did into a big glob of jello. Splat. Hinata leapt over the winged experiment and with a Juken strike tore the girl's wing from her back. The other two were put down as Gaara with Itachi took out the Dirt Man and Team 9 shredded the other one. After 10-10 pinned him down on the ground, he couldn't reach a tree and Neji's attacks destroyed the roots. After the three were dealt with, it was Hinata that noticed the diseased plants. Their contact was killing the plants around them. Itachi shook his head. Orochimaru perverts everything he comes in contact with. Kiba and Akamaru finished pouring flash powder on the bodies and set them aflame. Man, I wonder how many freaks he's got. The Inuzuka heir muttered. Akamaru barked and his partner agreed. I thought they smelled bad before, but phew, they stink more burning. They heard a yell and looking around it was Lee who looked up. Seconds before they were engulfed in a huge blob of jello and two figures impacted from above into it as well. The jello exploded in a puff of smoke and everyone looked at Naruto laying on the ground shoving an unconscious Mika off of him. Naruto-kun. Hinata tackled him and hugged him, then slapped him and then kissed him, in that order. Nami looked at Mika and rolled him onto his back. What's wrong with him? She asked. Naruto broke the kiss with Hinata and growled. Naruto-kun. Hinata asked. He left Kakashi behind. The others looked at him. What? Why? Wait. You were captured, Kankuro was saying, remembering their discussion before the attack. Micah coughed as he sat up. We were. Hatake-san stayed behind to buy us time to get away. Naruto growled. We all could have gotten away. No, we couldn't have. Micah said and got to his feet groaning. Damn it, Stormbringer. That frackin' hurt. My apologies, young hatchling. But you did summon me across dimensional barriers and from my prison of ice. Next time. Okami's panties know there will not be a next time. Now shush. I need to focus on the now. And you left him behind. Micah sighed. Naruto had it in his head that leaving Kakashi behind was wrong. Naruto, we couldn't have done a running battle the whole way, no matter how strong we are. Micah said and looked at his brother's eyes. Hatake-san knew that if we would have tried to fly away with all three, they would have shot us out of the sky. He bought us time. Melwasu-san is right, Itachi said. Kakashi did his duty. Naruto kicked the ground. Hinata put a hand on his forearm. Naruto-kun. He was my friend. He made mistakes, but he helped me when I was younger. I know he changed during that time when he tried to kill me, but he wasn't himself. Hinata took a deep breath. Jakaila. He knows about the mental changes all the way back. Naruto growled. More bad news. Micah said to the others. Not only are they preparing siege weapons, the Uchiha has one of Naruto's mechadsapans in his possession. Naruto looked at the place on his belt where the weapon had been and winced. Some good news, the sorcerer is dead, but we don't know if Orochimaru has more of them. Snake bastard hates fighting fair. Naruto muttered. They were silent. Kiba spoke up. So, we going to make it to Konoha? Are we going to sit around a campfire singing, row 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 your boat? Several of the nin looked at Kiba and Akamaru groaned at his master. We move. Konoha needs to alter its defenses for siege weapons. Gaara said. He and Kankuro took to the treetops and the others followed. Naruto, Hinata, Micah and Nami remained on the ground. I'm sore. Was as far as Micah got before Naruto's punch knocked him off his feet. Nami leapt back and looked at the nine-tailed Hanyu. I deserved that, Micah said. But we did the right thing, Naruto. I'm not talking to you right now. Naruto growled and with bewildered Hinata leapt into the trees following the others. Nami helped Micah to his feet. You sure do have a way with people. The silver-haired teen sighed and looked after Naruto. He's mad at me. He'll get over it, Nami said. You did the only thing you could. Did I? Micah said and they went to the treetops as well. Another rest break had Micah on one side of the rest area and Naruto in a tree ignoring him. Kyuubi was near the blonde. What troubles you, Kit? Naruto looked away. Don't want to talk about it. Fine. That's all you gonna say. Not that I'm being too hard on Micah. Naruto asked. Why would I say that? Kill the bastard. I mean, how dare he worry about saving you and getting a message to Konoha about the siege weapons? The cad, how dare he? Naruto growled. Hey, how come Sasuke was able to use my mechadsapan? I thought that it was impossible for another to use it, like I thought there was a safety feature. Kyuubi sighed and looked away. You had to ask the one question I really don't want to answer. Naruto looked at the shade. What do you mean you don't want to answer? Why the hell can that bastard use my chakra sword? He can't use both of them, Kit, just the orange one. Why? Naruto asked. Below, Hinata and the others were listening. Micah looked up as well. That had bugged him as well. Kyuubi sighed and drifted to the ground. I can't answer that right now, Kit. Please. Just leave it alone. Naruto dropped down, his 9 blonde tails waving around wildly. Like hell fuzz butt. That bastard has something of mine, and he's able to hold it, and 5 gives you 10 he'll be able to activate it. He already has. Kyuubi said and looking at him sadly. You felt it through the Vunla. He used your blade to kill Hatake. Naruto looked at the fox who was trying hard to avoid his gaze. I want answers, Kyuubi. I can't, Kit. There are things. Now damn it. All my life I've been lied to about myself and my family. You know how much I hate that. Sigh, Kit. Please, Damn it, Kyuubi. Everyone in my life has lied to me at some point. Don't hide this. Why can Sasuke use my sword? Why couldn't I summon it when we were running? Kit, Naruto, during the mission to Snow, when you were in the hospital, the Uchiha needed a blood transfer. Kakashi used your blood as you were regenerating it quickly. Itachi cursed out loud. And the Sharingan mutated it. The others looked at him. It's happened a time or two. I was hurt once and I got a blood transfusion from Kisame. I was more proficient with water jutsus and swords after that. Naruto looked at the shade. So he can use my sword. Because on that day, Hitaki made you blood brothers. Kyuubi said. Micah looked at Naruto. They were standing across from one another. Micah with Stormbringer drawn, Naruto with the purple Mekirtsupan. The pair circled one another. After Kyuubi's revelation, Naruto had traveled ahead of everyone, shock flowing through him. They were hours away from Konoha when Itachi called a rest stop. Naruto was pacing and Micah put himself in his brother's path. We need to talk. The dragon Hanyu said calmly. Naruto tensed and then with a sigh had followed Micah away from the others, Kyuubi having Nami and Hinata stay back. They need to work it out. This is one of the first times that they've been mad, Micah overfailing Naruto and Naruto because of Hitaki. Add in my revelation of the Uchiha, the shade looked off and watched as the pair started dueling. Won't they hurt one another? Hinata asked concerned. No. This will help them. The spar like this in order to center themselves, to get answers. Kyuubi said. Inside he was wishing he was able to use the Vunla. It would have been so much helpful. Why is Kami balancing things now when before the scales were clearing in the other side's favor? Kyuubi had been wondering about that for some time. Why is Kami becoming so involved? This isn't like her. The former demon fox thought as he watched his students spar. The two powerful blades clashed together. The wind lightning blade against the chakra blade was something the gathered nin wouldn't forget anytime soon. No other powers were used, this was a pure sword fight. Neither Hanyu was in control, as they continued to slash, parry, lunge and flip around. I'm sorry for leaving him behind, Naruto. Micah finally spoke as their blades were locked together and the boys' faces were inches apart. But I had to consider the bigger picture. And with Orochimaru and his summon coming and the whole camp prepared for us, there was no way we would have survived. Naruto shoved him back. I know. I hate it, but I know. I'm sorry for hitting you and yelling at you. Naruto said as he spun the purple blade. I wasn't thinking clearly. A flurry of attacks and the blades met again. I could have summoned some toads Naruto stopped and shook his head. The blades met again and again. So, what happened when we were flying? Naruto asked. Micah blocked a series of strikes and went with an up-down strike. I pulled Stormbringer across dimensions from wherever the sorcerer sent it. Sadly I pushed too hard to do so and temporarily drained myself. A flurry of strikes and they continued to circle. The Uchiha must die, Micah said. If he's got your blood. I know. That worries me as well. The fact I was never told about it pisses me off, and Kakashi is lucky he's not here. The pair attacked and defended once more. Nami and I are together. Micah said and Naruto laughed as he blocked the silver-haired Hanyu's attack. Figured that. Hugh and I thought you two would have been going at it like bunnies back in Underverse. Micah blushed a bit. Pain in my butt, the both of you fuzzballs. Naruto laughed, till Micah spoke next. So, you and the little white-eyed angel. Don't go there. Naruto warned. You know, now that I see her, I remember her when we were younger. Micah. Naruto warned as he attacked, the purple blade spinning and slamming into the Hanzo sword, Micah getting his defenses up just in time. I mean, I remember her always peeking around something to watch, and Naruto growled and the purple blade came in faster and faster. Micah laughed and instead of using the sword, he used his left hand to catch the blade. Micah let Naruto catch his wrist holding the Hanzo sword and stood there grinning. I'm happy for you, Naruto. She's so in love with you, she damn near vibrates with you just being near. Be quiet, Naruto said and Micah smirked. Then Naruto turned the tables. So, Nami's staked her claim, I take it. No damn close, but someone interrupted us. Micah admitted. Naruto nodded remembering the time with him and Hinata and Kakashi interrupting them. It seems so long. Micah nodded. Everything is rushing towards the end. We'll be fighting the snake and the emo freak soon enough. They stepped back, Micah sheathing the Hanzo sword and Naruto deactivating the chakra blade. He clipped it to his belt, his tails waving behind him. Naruto knew if anything, Sasuke and him would be meeting for certain, and he knew the bastard would have learned how to use the chakra blade. I just hope he can't use Vunla, then we'll all be. Gates of Konoha. The group looked up at the massive wooden doors. Naruto was nervous. 3 years. 3 years. Micah put a scaled left hand on the blonde Hanyu's shoulder. Hinata took his hand. They took a step forward with their group when they found a squad of Anbu blocking their way. Identify yourselves. A pigeon-faced Anbu ordered. Stand down. They all turned to see the white-haired Jiraiya standing atop the wall looking down. He leapt and landed before the group, a huge grin on his face. Hey Naruto, he said and pulled the blonde into a one-armed hug. Ero Sanin. The blonde nine-tail said gasping as the older man hugged him. If he's hugging me this hard, Ba-chan's going to turn me into paste. Naruto thought. He had been happy to hear it that Jiraiya and Tsunade hadn't had a hand in his exile. Hinata had spent a lot of time talking to him as they came closer to Konoha. She told him how Tsunade would stop working and stare long at a photo she had of him. She told Naruto how she would curse the damned council. Naruto gasped when it seemed like the Toad Sage wouldn't let him go anytime soon. Jiraiya let him go and coughed seeing the others. Naruto smiled at seeing his former sensei embarrassed. Missed you brat, Jiraiya said before looking at the others. Tsunade is expecting you. Our scouts report that Orochimaru's forces haven't moved in some time, he said as he led them past the gates and guards. Sasuke is probably learning how to use his new toy. Naruto growled. Micah put a hand on his shoulder. We'll get it back. Naruto nodded and they passed many people who stopped and stared. Naruto tensed, waiting for the harsh words. Hinata's hand in his squeezed and he looked at her pale eyes. It's okay, she said softly. If they can't accept you, they aren't worth your attention. Naruto nodded. Some of the ninja on duty watched on as civilians were being evacuated to the shelters. One saw the blonde and cursed. He felt a pointed blade against his neck and looked out of the corner of his eyes, afraid to move his head. Anko was there, the kunai at his neck drawing a thin line of blood. I'd be very careful what you say, moron. That is the apprentice of Jiraiya and seen as a son by the 5th Hokage. Her blade dug into the idiot nin's neck a bit more. The Hokage's apprentice has a shine for him as well, and you remember what she did to Hiashi. The nin gulped as his eyes watched the group vanished around the corner. I also have a soft spot for the Gaki. Not many know, but after the Chunin exams 3 years back, he did me right. He earned my respect, Anko said, her gaze looking at the rest of the nearby ninja. Any of you have a problem with him, you have one with me. He's come back here to help protect Konoha. She pulled her kunai away and looked at the idiot who had cursed the blonde. Why? I don't know. I'm starting to feel maybe you all aren't worth his attention. Anko started to walk away, but stopped and looked over her shoulder. Oh, and if any of you idiots even think of attacking him during battle, I will make sure you're dead and your bodies nailed to the walls. With that, Anko Mitarashi, the special Jonin of Konoha, shushined away, a very lucky to be alive nin sighed and went to change his pants. Naruto looked up at the Hokage tower. It's nearly all the same, he said. Jiraiya chuckled. Well, the walls to the Hokage's office have been replaced numerous times. The blonde looked at him and Jiraiya shrugged. Tsunade still has a temper. Naruto laughed. And I thought the two of you going at it like rabbits would have calmed that down over the years. Everyone in the group stopped and Jiraiya chuckled while scratching the back of his head. How do you know brat? Walked in once right after she became Hokage and you two were breaking in her desk. Must say, Ba-chan has a dirty mouth. Hinata blushed next to the blonde Hanyu while some of the other nin looked amused and some twitched at the mental image of the Toad Sage and the Hokage. Kiba shuddered. I'll never be able to look at her the same way again, thanks a lot Naruto. Akamaru barked in agreement. Micah laughed. Naruto had described Tsunade to him shortly after they hooked up and he looked at Jiraiya. Hey, that could be Naruto when he's older, hell the two are similar in stance and personality now. Shaking his head he was cracked across the back of the head lightly by Nami. He looked at her and she raised an eyebrow. Behave. Gaara and Kankuro shook their head. Kankuro was drooling. He'd said it before how smoken the 5th Hokage looked. Gaara was a bit disturbed. He remembered the meetings in the office with the blonde Hokage, and his senses had been telling him something at those times, and now he knew what they were. Itachi was expressionless, but his hand was near a belt pouch and the hints of an orange book could be seen peeking out. Kiba, you and your sister need to check in with your mother. She's near the southern sector. Jiraiya said. Kiba nodded and headed off with Hana. The toad sage turned and smiled at Naruto. Hope you like being hugged, he said as they entered the tower. Naruto thanked Kami for his healing abilities. Ba-chan's going to powder my ribs. Behind the group, Kyuubi drifted. His eyes were taking in the village and he saw many of the looks from the ninja. Oh brat, you come to save them, and the idiots are being blinded by your looks. You and Micah should have worn cloaks. I fear that the times ahead are going to be rough. The shade of the nine-tail in human form followed the others into the tower. I have a bad feeling about this. Orochimaru's camp. Sasuke worked with the wooden bakken. He wanted to use the new blade he'd taken from the dobi, but Orochimaru had insisted that he learn how to properly wield a sword before activating that weapon again. The swordsmen and mercenaries in the group were conscripted to show Sasuke their styles, and with his Sharingan activated, he copied them all. He saw ways to improve them with adding several ninjutsu attacks to them. He watched one and swordsman and Sasuke could see the hole in the attack thanks to copying a dozen other styles. Sasuke grabbed the hilt of the chakra sword and with a snap hiss its deadly hum was the last thing the swordsman heard before his head was severed from his body. Sasuke looked at the orange blade, and he noticed it was becoming more red each time he activated it. How did the dobi of all people get a Raijin-type blade? Sasuke thought. He remembered one of his last missions before he'd left the Leaf of Aoi and the Raijin. And yet the dobi has two of them, and they aren't like the one Aoi carried. These are stronger, more deadly. I can feel the power coursing through the blade. Watching from a distance, Orochimaru with Sakura, Sai and Danzo watched on. He is becoming more powerful, Lord Orochimaru. Danzo said. His failure at Suna had taken away much of his arrogance, and the beating from Orochimaru later on finished the lesson on who the master was. Yes, Sasuke is becoming even stronger. The snake Sanin pondered about the changes in the Kyuubi container. I didn't sense the Kyuubi in him. The chakra is there, but the soul, the Kyuubi itself is gone. Sakura, your studies, he said as they watched Sasuke continue his practice now with the reddish-orange blade. Kakashi's corpse was a goldmine of information. Sadly, the loss of the Sharingan took away much. I cannot believe Konoha took away the Sharingan from Kakashi. It was that Hyuga tramp. Sakura said. She was jealous and removed his eyes as a punishment. As you told me. Orochimaru pondered much over the information Sakura had shared with him. Much of which Danzo had left out. Sakura, when we attack Konoha, take a detachment. I think I want to study the Hyuga girl. The pink-haired girl growled. It will be as you command. Orochimaru nodded. Danzo, the Kyuubi I leave to you and Sasuke. Alive or dead, I want him. Danzo nodded. Dead, alive the blonde bastard will be too difficult to hold. Danzo decided. And what will you be doing while the army crushes Konoha, my lord? Danzo asked. Why? I think it's high time there is a reckoning between the Sanin. The hag and the fool will learn their places. Orochimaru saw the progress that Sasuke was making copying the styles of the swordsman and nodded. Not long. Soon the leaf will burn, and their very existence will be wiped from the face of the world. Naruto was glad to be back. The meeting with Tsunade had been. He winced as his healed ribs ached in memory at the hug she had given him. It had taken Jiraiya, Micah and Hinata using Juken strikes to finally get her to let him go, and even then the blonde Hokage had kept him close during the meeting. Naruto looked out over Konoha. Night had fallen and he was restless. He had planned on going back to the hole that was his apartment, but it had been destroyed. Hinata had insisted he stay with her. He blushed at that and looked back to where she was sleeping. Naruto still had doubts and concerns. How can I lead her into danger and claim to love her? The blonde nine-tail had heard the whispered words of the ninja that were preparing the defenses. He was glad most of the citizens were evacuated to the shelters. Gaara and Tsunade during the meeting had rearranged the defenses, adding in the Sunanin. Naruto had stayed behind after the meeting, Hinata and Micah saying they'd wait outside for him. Flashback. Once the door closed, Tsunade was there hugging him again, this time more gently. Naruto was shocked as the Hokage sobbed into his shoulder. He gently hugged her back, his tails wrapping around her as well. As time passed, he heard her muttering, I am so sorry. And, I should have been able to stop them before they exiled you. Naruto ran a hand up and down her back while holding her. It wasn't your fault, Ba-chan. They fooled us all, and while you were busy they struck. I should have known. Tsunade said. I failed you, Naruto. You were exiled thinking I was against you. The blonde nine-tail couldn't deny that. When he left Konohagakure behind 3 years ago, he thought that only Iruka and the Konohamaru Corps were his only friends left. He hugged her tighter. When I was exiled, he swallowed the lump in his throat. I felt lost. When the Root Anbu were ready to kill me, for a brief moment I was about to accept it. Suede held him tighter. I thought I'd lost everything. Naruto admitted. Then a blast from my past returned and saved me. Melwasu. Tsunade said. Yes. Naruto smiled. We were together in the orphanage. He left suddenly, his powers kicked in and he killed a lot of people. Oji-san thought it best if he was sent away to learn to control it. Tsunade held him. In the 3 years he'd been gone, the Hokage had missed the blonde that she thought of as a younger brother. No, my son. I might not have raised him, or given birth to him, but he feels like he's mine. I won't fail you again, Naruto. Tsunade vowed silently. So they talked. More to the point, Naruto talked and the Hokage listened. She told him of Hinata's changes, of her defense of him. Don't doubt her love for you. Tsunade said. No. Don't doubt Hinata's love for you. She would storm the gates of hell and win for you, Naruto. You are worth the world to her, and to me as well. Naruto looked at the Hokage. Ba-chan. Stupid brat. Tsunade said, hugging him tighter. Your sense of self-worth really needs to be polished. Naruto shrugged. Mika's been working on it. I just think she could do better than me. And what do you think she feels about that? She sees you, Naruto. Not the 9 tails sticking out above your butt, the raw power you have that can level a mountain. She sees Naruto Uzumaki Kazama Namikaze. Son of Konohagakure Yondaime Hokage Minato Arashi Kazama Namikaze and the former Cage of Whirlpool Kushina Uzumaki. And my adopted son. Tsunade finished hugging him tighter. Naruto's eyes widened as the 5th Hokage hugged him for all she had. Kasen. Naruto thought as he hugged the woman who claimed him, and he found the word felt right when he thought of Tsunade. End flashback. Naruto-kun. He turned from the window to see Hinata coming towards him. His mind froze seeing her bare legs. It was then that it registered with his mind that she was wearing only his shirt. Hinata. She smiled as he blushed. You are troubled, she said, stopping next to him near the window. Not really. Just. You can't believe you're back here, she said. Naruto nodded, his gaze looking out over Konoha once more. So much has changed, yet so much is the same. She saw his gaze going to the Hokage monument where Tsunade's face was now looking out. Naruto swore she was glaring at the 3rd and 4th Hokages. But that's not all that's troubling you, Hinata said, and Naruto sighed. How can you know what I'm thinking, when I myself am uncertain? He looked as she snuggled into his side, her eyes sparkling in mischief. Isn't it a woman's right to know what her chosen man is thinking? Naruto wrapped his tails around her. I don't want to fail you, Hinata, he said. I think you could do better than me. I'm also concerned that the Tem is able to use my Mekirtsupan, the fact I hadn't thought to summon it. Hinata saw the pain in his eyes. I know that bastard will be able to use it because of my blood in his veins. I'm concerned with what other effects my blood will have on him. What else can he steal from me? Hinata held onto him as he continued to look out over the village. The fact Q was reluctant to tell me he's my blood brother worries me. No, worry isn't the right word. I'm scared, Hinata. Scared what that spoiled bastard is going to do. I remember on my first mission out of Konoha, Kakashi told me why Hunter Nin destroy the bodies of those they've been sent after. Power is transferable. It's why Kumo was so eager to steal you away from your family all those years ago. They planned to transplant your eyes when they had the chance. Hinata nodded, remembering all those years ago. You will beat him when the time comes, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, enjoying being against him, his tails wrapped around her, keeping her warm. As for you and me, you could never fail me. All I want from you is your love, Naruto-kun. I don't care if you become Hokage, or if we are beggars on the streets when this is over. If you leave, I leave with you. She turned against him and looked up into his eyes, her head snaked out and slowly stroked his whisker marks. Naruto closed his eyes and leaned into her touch. I care about what my decisions mean to you, Hinata. You deserve the best. She smiled. Then it's a good thing I have you, Naruto-kun. Because in my eyes, You are the best and no one, no matter how much wealth or their position of power they have compare in the slightest to you. Naruto opened his eyes. He saw the love. I must sound a fool and weak with my doubts and concerns. He said, seeing the love for him in her eyes. You have never been shown kindness except in small doses. I will fix that, Hinata said and leaned in and kissed him. Their kissing and cuddling lasted well into the morning sunrise. Micah woke as the sun rested on him. He rolled over with a groan and froze seeing Nami in his bed. He relaxed remembering her crawling in late last night, remembering that she said she was uncomfortable being alone. Micah knew the bond pulled her to him, and he smiled seeing her sleeping peacefully, her lavender hair spread out upon the pillow. He smiled watching her sleep. Here, asleep, she was at peace. There was not sorrow in her eyes about being away from the frozen tundra of the underverse. Her concern for him as his transformation happened. He stood and found the full-length mirror. Standing there in sleep pants, he looked at the spread of scales. His whole left arm, chest, shoulder, and a smattering of scales on his face, and a partial collar around his neck. His reptilian eyes studied the look. The spread seemed to have stopped, and his brief conversation with Master Q indicated it seemed that the dragon half of his parentage claimed half of him. And like Naruto, I bear the taint of the demon heritage. He'd been surprised to find scales on his left leg, but he breathed a bit easier seeing none on his waist and around his manhood. Too early. A sleep-filled voice came from behind him and he turned to see Nami sitting up in his shirt. Her green eyes locked on him. Did I wake you? He asked. Empty bed woke me. Gotten too used to your body heat. She admitted. Micah nodded. Since she joined them, she slept next to him. In the underverse on the frozen tundra, she told him he was her personal space heater. Micah sat back on the bed, Nami's hand touching his bare shoulder. Micah looked at her. Don't. He said. Don't what? She said with a smirk. Don't start something we won't be able to finish. He said. Nami held a certain look in her eyes as she rose up to her knees and looked at him. Who said we wouldn't finish? She fired back. Micah felt his breathing increase. The bond was singing in high ears. Her hand on his shoulder feeling suddenly warmer. Micah felt his mouth go dry as she leaned in. He didn't get to finish as her mouth covered his. Anyone passing the room would blush at the sounds coming from the closed doors. What happened in there is between man and woman, and those old enough to know grin while the youngsters shoot their elders questioning looks. Across the way, a certain Toad Sonin is giggling, his pen racing over the paper and a trickle of blood from his nose as he writes his next great novel. The Dragon and the Huntress. Oh yeah, bestseller again, here I come. Orochimaru's camp. Sasuke sneers as the chakra blade, now blood red, slices through the pair of samurai. Orochimaru on his travel throne claps. Good. Very good, Sasuke-kun. The Uchiha turns, his Sharingan blazing. Orochimaru notices that along with the marks, the eyes have slits that remind him of the Kyuubi. He says nothing as the Uchiha deactivates the blade. The Dobi won't stand a chance. He says, clipping the weapon to his belt. Orochimaru nods. Konoha will fall. You and Danzo will take out the Kyuubi brat. Sasuke nods. Danzo will perform the five-prong seal and I will take his head like I took Hitaki's. Orochimaru sneered at the arrogance of his apprentice. Did Haruno learn anything from the fool's corpse? Sasuke asked after moments of quiet. The loss of his Sharingan weakened him considerably. She took some samples. Perhaps we can create the legendary White Fang's bloodline again. Orochimaru watched Sasuke walked away. Fool. Once you are finished with Konoha, I will end you. Your body, while powerful, is powered by a weak mind. He looked to the scroll that Sakura had brought him. She is turning out to be just as useful as Kabuto. Perhaps I should award her with some power. Yes. From outside his tent the guards heard his chuckle. For now the army waited, and as time passed the Uchiha became stronger with his new weapon. Orochimaru visited Sakura and her scream filled the camp. Many of the Oto nins knew what that meant. Many wondered what their pink-haired commander would be like after the latest reward. Orochimaru stood looking on. In the distance he could see Konoha in the early morning light. It had been a week since the escape of the Kyuubi brat, and he'd held the army back first to give Sasuke time to familiarize himself with his latest weapon, but then he had also allowed Sakura time to modify several of the troops after she was given her new gifts. He looked to his left where the hooded Sakura stood. Behind her stood the marauders. Orochimaru approved of the 15 men and women that Sakura had used some of his research on and improved upon. Talented girl. She was wasted in Konoha. Orochimaru thought. He then gazed to his right where Danzo was standing with a cloak wearing Sasuke and Sai. We should have attacked right away while we had them on the run, my lord. Danzo said, allowing them a week to gather and prepare. Orochimaru chuckled. But I was preparing as well, Danzo. Orochimaru turned to look at the 7-foot cloaked form. You know your task. A deep chuckle was heard. I know what I plan to do, Sanin. My master has big plans for the Kyuubi. The gloved hand holding the wicked-looking scythe clenched. I owe the Kyuubi after all. Orochimaru had been surprised by the arrival of the giant who said his master had sent him as a replacement for Shang. Shaking his head, he looked back over Konoha. Their outer forces have been whipped out. Rather weak, Sasuke said from where he stood. His hand was stroking the deactivated chakra blade's handle. Just because the traps and the few ninja we did encounter were weak, Sasuke-kun, doesn't mean we saw anything. Sakura said, her voice coming from the depths of the cowl. They let us have the grounds. They used that time to study our forces. Orochimaru nodded to his new apprentice. Sakura is right, Sasuke. That is why I had her keep the marauders back. They will roll over Konoha like the riders of the apocalypse. Sasuke snorted. He had not been impressed with the science experiment. Whatever. Keep them out of my way. The dobe is mine. Orochimaru had seen some changes in Sasuke in the past week. He'd become more animalistic, more savage. Is the blade causing this, or is it the Sharingan mutating somehow? The snake Sanin wondered. Danzo, organize the troops. Sakura, you and the marauders wait my signal. Sasuke, TCH. I'll be dobe hunting. The Sharingan wielder walked off and Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Sakura slipped next to him, her voice low so that only he could hear her. All is ready, master. If he lives or dies is irrelevant. I can harvest all I need from his warm or dead flesh now thanks to your gifts. Orochimaru smirked. Stay with the Marauders, Sakura. You have become special in my plans. I will master. Orochimaru looked back at Konoha. I'm coming, Tsunade. Your precious leaf will burn as it should have last time. Konoha. Naruto stood atop the wall, his gaze looked to the horizon. There, just beyond reach, hidden. Micah, who was next to him, leaned against a post. How do you want to do this? The silver-haired Hanyu asked. 1,000 for you, 1,000 for me. Naruto said, and Micah snorted. That's not what I meant, and you know it, bro. Yeah. Naruto's blue eyes looked over the horizon. Even with his enhanced sight he could barely see them. They have up genjutsus and are using the trees and shadows to hide. If not for being Hanyu, we'd never see them coming. Micah said. The pair watched the areas, and behind them the defenders of Konoha were getting ready. It had been talked about earlier that morning that Gaara, Micah, Naruto, Hinata and the Sannin would wait at the gate. Jiraiya had argued that Tsunade should remain in the back and direct things, but she said that it would be a cold day in hell before she allowed Orochimaru to gain a foothold in Konoha, and her strength and skill was more suited for the open area fighting that would take place on one side of the gate. Micah looked to where Nami and Hinata were and smirked at Naruto. Women always get what they want. The blonde Hanyu nodded. He had suggested during the morning meeting that Hinata be stationed at the hospital. The Juken strike to his tails had shown him her side of the argument. You know the Uchiha is going to be difficult if he's discovered anything different with his blood. Naruto grunted. During the week the Kyuubi had avoided them both. It finally took them and the Sannin to corner the shade with a containment seal that prevented him from leaving the circle. I can't believe the fur ball was messing with my DNA all the way back then. Naruto said, his slit-like blue eyes spotting movement in the forest. Even after all we've been through, the fox holds onto his secrets close to his chest. Naruto snorted. It would be more impressive if his chest was like Grandma Tsunade's. Both Hanyu laughed at the mental picture. The pervert would spend too much time playing with them. Micah said after they both stopped laughing. A giggle from behind them and they turned to see Jiraiya standing there with a look on his face. What's up, pervy sage? Naruto asked his former sensei. What? Oh, I'm here with you too and Gaara. He said, gesturing to where the red-headed Kazekage was sitting, his eyes closed. He then smirked at Micah. You and your girl in the last week have given me enough material for a whole new Ika Ika series. The Hanyu and the maiden. Jiraiya informed the dragon Hanyu with a leer. Micah rolled his eyes. Nami will castrate you. Jiraiya looked around carefully. Only if she reads my books. Naruto shook his head as his former teacher looked at him. And what of you and that Hyuga Spitfire? Anything you want to share? Naruto shook his head. Not a thing to tell pervy sage. What Hinata and I do is between us and the sound barrier seals I put up in my room after that first night of hearing Micah and Nami go at it. The blonde fox Hanyu shot his brother a look. Sound suppressing seals on your room would be appreciated. Micah smirked. Keep forgetting about those. Naruto laughed. Bullshit. I saw Nami attack you in the corridor last night. Micah shrugged. The fox is right. Of course your mate can't help herself now. Stay out of this stupid sword. Micah thought to the blade strapped to his back. Naruto smirked as his brother got a distant look. He used to get the same one talking to the Kyuubi. Micah had spent time with him during the week working on their sword work and he told him the connection the blade now had to him. They're coming. Gaara intoned, drawing all of their looks as several eyes made of sand appeared and then melted into his gourd. Gaara looked at them. They are dismantling the traps. Jiraiya nodded. Figured they would. That's why we've been using golems instead of real troops. Took Ibiki, Shizune and a group of medics 2 months to make them all. Naruto shuddered. The flesh golems were a type of clone that were controlled from a distance and could be controlled to act independently. They had small chakra reserves so they could perform low-level jutsus, and when they were killed they acted like real people and bled. Itachi's ravens also report that there are 15 new figures around Orochimaru. Hinata said, approaching the pair. Are you sure I can't talk you into going to the hospital? Naruto asked her. Hinata gave him a look and he shrugged. Had to try Haim. She smiled and her hand cupped his cheek and she gave him a tender look. Live through this, Naruto-kun. I want to marry you when this is over with. She said and smiled at his wide-eyed look. Hinata and Naruto had come close several times over the past week of having, but Hinata would manage to stop before they did. Her reason was that she wanted to be married before she had. By telling Naruto this, she just told him what she wanted and he grinned. Looks like this battle's going to be over rather quickly then, Haim. He said softly. I want nothing more, Naruto-kun. She said, her pale eyes looking into his. The week-long passion had both of them taking cold showers and frustrated. Naruto would spar with Micah till he couldn't stand. Hinata had destroyed a couple of training grounds in her frustration with her own stupid rules that she had come close to breaking numerous times. One stupid Chunin had said something about her being a demon whore and he was now a quivering mass of flesh after encountering Hinata's penance stare. Tsunade had a long talk with her about that one, and of course the blonde Hokage had a laugh as her apprentice told her of her frustrations. Plan your vows later, Suon said, appearing next to them. She looked around. Coming up behind her were Ino, Shikamaru, Choji and Asuma. Tamari and Konkuro arrived and took up positions on either side of their brother. Itachi was the next to arrive, followed by Nami, Guy and Team 9. Everyone ready? Suon asked, looking at each. Shizune, Ibiki and Anko report that the golems are doing their jobs, but are falling quickly. She said. Anbu are in position, Lady Tsunade. Itachi reported. He'd taken up his position as captain upon returning and being reinstated. We shall burn them to ash with our fires of youth, Yash. Guy said, making his nice guy pose, but dimmed when Lee didn't join him. He looked over and saw Ten-Ten and Neji holding him and Ten-Ten whispering in Lee's ear. That is so not right. Guy muttered. He'd walked in on his team once, and the amount killing intent from the 3 teams at being interrupted had put Guy in a subdued manner for days. Lee smiled at his mentor and winked, giving him a thumbs up, perking up the taijutsu master. Go Lee. Tsunade and the others sighed at his loudness. Kurenai approached with Shino. Kiba and the Inuzuka clan are in position, Lady Tsunade. She reported. Tsunade smiled. The idea of the Inuzuka clan riding their dogs in as a type of light cavalry unit appealed to her. She'd watched as the larger dogs that could be used as mounts that very morning be armed with spiked armor and saddles, while the smaller dogs were armed with spiked armor. They are to hold back till they get the signal, she said, and Shino nodded his head. The Ambarame clan was the messengers here, along with Itachi and his ravens. Both ninja were to remain near Tsunade to relay orders. Members of Shino's family were positioned all around Konoha to receive his bugs. Itachi had ravens nearby with prepared messages, they only awaited mental commands from the last loyal Uchiha. In the distance, the tree line exploded as Orochimaru's forces broke the tree line. Their battle cry was taken up as they were joined by summons ranging from snakes and bears to rock gargoyles. This is it, Tsunade said, pulling off her Hokage robes and leaving her in her top and pants, which covered the modified chakra armor they'd gotten from spring, formerly snow. For Konoha, she yelled. The war for the Leaf Village had begun. The fire jutsus flew from Konoha's defenders onto the onrushing army. They were deflected by rock walls and water jutsus, many of them not reaching the army, some did and did some damage. Tsunade stood atop the gate, her gaze looking for her former teammate in the advancing army. Second wave. Fire. Boulders were flung from catapults that had been built and more fireballs were lobbed at the oncoming mass of enemy nin. Third wave. Fire. Naruto smirked as with a torch he ignited the oil-covered boulder and it was launched into the air. Mika smirked as he and Naruto waited. During the week they'd developed some new attacks and they were devastating. The fourth wave of fire attacks were launched and the snake's army was still coming. Now, Naruto said as the first few rows of the onrushing army fell into pits that were hidden with natural covering, thus negating the chance of being found easier by chakra sensing. Another wave of fire spewed out as the ranks of Konoha nin switched out. Mika looked over to where Nami was and watched as she launched an arrow loaded with exploding tags and took out several Iwa nin as they were using their Earth-style abilities to search for more pit traps. Nami smirked and shot several more, giving a wink to Mika before she stepped back and allowed a Chunin armed with a pair of crossbows to take up her spot. Gaara, who was next to Tsunade, saw that the invading army was at the 100-foot marker they had made in the ground and smirked. My turn, he said, and the genjutsu that hid the sand vanished as the wave of sand rose up from the trench that the Konoha nin had dug and like a tsunami crashed down upon the army. Gaara was far from finished as he called upon his connection to the sand that his time with Shukaku had given him and formed a new attack. Sand style. Sand graveyard. He said, gesturing with both hands, and hundreds of invading ninja were sucked into the sand trap. Mass burial. Desolation burial. Tsunade watched as the Kazekage used his control over the sand to take out a third of Orochimaru's forces. Gaara was far from finished. Sand trap. More sand rolled out of the trench and sand missile. Gaara intoned, and suddenly the sand formed jagged-looking spikes that rained down upon the invading army. Cloud and Mist nin used water and lightning attacks to neutralize the sand, making it wet or turning it to crystal with lightning attacks. They're still coming, Iruka said in disbelief, seeing the enemy ninja moving past the traps and the bodies of their dead comrades without a second glance. Tsunade shook her head and signaled for the catapults to keep a constant barrage. Naruto. Mika, now. She sent the command. Down the wall the two Hanyu smiled as they began their phase of attacks. Ka. Mika began, and many who'd seen it before smiled, knowing that soon there would be a large amount of enemy nin dead or atomized. Ha. Naruto began his own attack he'd learned in the week. He shared a grin with Mika. Me. Mika smirked back at his blonde nine-tailed brother. Do. Naruto continued as the chakra energy between the two Hanyu was manifesting and even the invading army slowed. Danzo, seeing this, shushined to the back of the army. Haim. Mika continued, and with his chakra there was the added benefit of wind and lightning now forming around the ball of energy. Ken. Naruto finished his own build-up and his ball of chakra launched from his hands and expanded. Ha! Mika said, launching his own right after Naruto's. The Konoha nin watched as the two attacks seemed to merge, forming an even bigger ball of destruction. Greater than. From his location at the back of the army with Orochimaru, Danzo knew fear. The opening moments of this attack saw their once overwhelming size force be whittled down to close to the same size as the defending ninja of Konoha. Lord Orochimaru, he began. Send in the summons. Orochimaru said, ignoring Danzo. They think that this will stop me. Along the line of attackers, groups were summoning their beasts. Orochimaru stood back and sneered. Giant spiders and gargoyles attacked Konoha's walls. A salamander the size of Gamabunta hit the wall hard. Konoha was not without its defenders as giant bugs were summoned by the Ambrami clan, and the Inuzuka clan showed their skills summoning the boss dogs and wolves. Itachi summoned the boss raven, who dive-bombed the ground-based summons. Danzo had been unaware of the amount of summons Konoha had, and it shocked him. Tsunade and Jiraiya are holding back as well. Orochimaru muttered. Sakura. The cloaked figure at his side looked up. Have our new friend show us his power. As you command, Lord Orochimaru. Sakura's voice came from the cloak hood. Greater than. On the wall, the defenders were pouring their attacks into stopping the gargoyles and the boss gargoyle from destroying the wall. Suan cursed. There's too many of them. She narrowed her eyes. No snakes. Kyuubi, who was hovering around, froze. He felt something. Something he hadn't felt since the Underverse. What does it mean? Wasn't I cut off from? Blast. Naruto. Greater than. Mika and Naruto were gathering their strength after their attack. While both were very impressive, the chakra drain on both attacks still left them weakened. They were recovering quickly, but they knew the battle was far from over and they couldn't do something like that again without good reason. Naruto. Kyuubi's shout drew their attention and they saw the shade looking up. Naruto got a feeling from his vulnerable senses and shoved Mika aside and dove away as a large figure impacted where they had been standing just moments ago, leaving a crater. Naruto and Mika were up and the pair of Hanyu looked at the imposing reaper-like appearance of Idendigan. Kyuubi's shade was rushing closer and the pair looked at the giant Underverse native, wondering why he was here. You look like crap, Naruto said to the Tomb Guardian. Why, thank you for noticing, Kyuubi Kit. Ah, and this is the dragonling that stayed out of the tomb. Idendigan said. What are you doing here, Undertaker? This isn't your world. Kyuubi said, hovering closer. Idendigan chuckled. Neither is it yours or the Hanyu's, yet here you all are. The giant said. Naruto looked at those nearby. The rest of you move away. This isn't something you can deal with. His vulnerable senses were screaming at him. Be careful, Naruto. Takasis. Yes, Kit. Digan is not meant to be here. You and the dragon will be hard pressed. He was never meant to leave the tombs. Wonderful. Naruto muttered. Mika already had Stormbringer drawn, the sword sparking with lightning and wind around the blade. Idendigan looked amused. Oh, you have one of those. Is that why you didn't come to claim what was yours, little dragon? Idendigan, you know the law, you are not supposed to be here. Kyuubi said. The shade was very nervous. And you should have passed on. It is apparent that the boy is your successor. He has your power. And you kept him from taking the vow of Azat. The path of the Zot is not his. Naruto Uzumaki is destined for things far greater than that of a guardian. Kyuubi retorted. Iden sneered. Same old Kyuubi. But it won't matter. Because I'm here to claim both the Kitsune and Draconian. Naruto shook his head and pulled his remaining Mechardsapan and it activated with an angry snap hiss. The purple blade hummed as Naruto took up a defensive stance. Mika mirrored him. Naruto-kun. Hinata said. Go, Hinata. This is a battle, none save Mika and I can deal with him. All of you keep back. This fight is beyond any of you. The others wanted to protest, but the look in Naruto's eyes stopped them. There was a hint of fear in the blue eyes. Hinata and the others backed away, many returning to the wall, where they saw the invading army right on the other side. The Battle of the Summons was devastating and it took some of Konoha's defenders with it. On the one side of the wall, Mika and Naruto took up a stance and Idendigan sneered as he pulled off his cloak. He reached behind him and pulled out a Mechardsapan hilt that looked to be the size of two of Naruto's back-to-back. Be careful, Kit. Kyuubi warned and cursed mentally his inability to be involved. Iden took up a stance as if offering the weapon to Naruto and Mika and with an angry snap his twin black blades emerged from the hilt. A staff? Mika asked. A double-bladed Mechardsapan. Kyuubi corrected. His eyes seeing the malice in Idendigan's eyes. As that fear I smell. The big Underverse native asked with a sneer. I was but the guardian for so long, now I am a master. Tsunade watched as the damage to the walls from the various summons. She was itching to get in there and do damage, but Jiraiya reminded her that they had to wait for Orochimaru. All along the damaged areas of the wall Konoha ninja were engaging in battle. Her eyes sought out and found the familiar hair and saw him and Mika in a dangerous battle like she'd never seen before. Kami. He's got blades like Naruto. Tsunade thought. Hold the line. She ordered as she watched more of the invading nin scaling up the wall. Water jutsus. She ordered and spaced along the wall. Torrents of water shot out and knocked the scaling ninja from the walls. Tsunade. We're barely holding on. Iruka said as another section of the wall came down. Push them back. She ordered. Itachi. The Uchiha nodded and headed for the new breach. Tsunade turned her attention once more to see Naruto. Micah and the big man begin their fight. Stay safe, Gaki. Micah lunged and Iden blocked and shoved, his double-bladed weapon humming as he spun and blocked Naruto's attack. Iden laughed. Is this the best you've learned? He went on the attack high and low. Micah blocked high while Naruto spun under and blocked the low. The Hanyu were being pushed back from the defense of the walls and they saw it explode and Oto Nin beginning to rush in, only to meet Hinata and others. Stay safe, Hinata. Naruto thought as he ducked under a swipe, he felt the air indicating he just avoided a haircut. The humming of the Mechurtsupan blades filled the air and the crackling from Stormbringer was just as intense. The three fought hard with no one getting an advantage, despite it being 2-on-1, Iden was up to the task. Micah was surprised when he was hit by an invisible force that felt like he'd been kicked in the gut and saw the Undertaker standing with a hand extended while blocking Naruto's attack. Shit. The silver-haired Hanyu said, getting to his feet. Naruto landed next to him after being kicked and they thought the same thing. He can use the Vunla. This just got harder. Naruto muttered, giving his purple blade a spin and taking up a fresh stance. Micah nodded and did the same with Stormbringer. The two Hanyu were side by side like bookends, Naruto's tails fanned out behind them. Iden chuckled. Good. But you both could be better. You Dragonling are not living up to your potential. He said. What do you know, gruesome? Micah spat and fake lunged and Naruto was attacking a second later. They tried to drive him back to the wall, but the big immortal was not having it. He kicked Micah hard and then his double-bladed Mechurtsupan was a flurry of motion. Naruto barely got some blocks up and then the Tomb Guardian sent him flying into Micah with a Vunla wave. Micah dropped Stormbringer and caught Naruto, who deactivated his blade. The two crashed into a building. Iden laughed. He looked at Stormbringer. You are not of this world. Your time was ended long ago. He deactivated his weapon and hung it from his sash. His massive hands were a blur of motion as he went through nearly 100 hand seals, many of them foreign to the Konoha nin who were in shock. Azarath, Metrion, Zinthos, Ra. Iden intoned and Stormbringer levitated into the air surrounded by a black ball of energy. You should never have been found. The Tomb Guardian said, and with a flurry of hand seals the sound of breaking metal and a ghostly scream filled the air as Stormbringer was shattered into millions of shards. From the building an inhuman scream filled the air. Itachi and the reinforcements arrived at the breach and were fighting in tight close quarters. Itachi's blade was a blur as he dispatched sound, rock and cloud ninja with cold efficiency. He spared a glance and saw that many people around him were dying in waves on both sides. The snap hiss was his only warning and he shushined away just in time to avoid being decapitated by his own brother and a violent angry red energy blade. Hello Sasuke-kun, he said, his gaze drifting towards the hate-filled eyes of his younger brother. I will kill you this time, brother. Sasuke said, and Itachi saw the madness in his younger brother's eyes and knew this was the time one of them would fall. It's time, I suppose. Itachi said, and he drew a shorter sword and held it in a reverse grip for a defensive position. This time you will not escape me, Itachi. Sasuke snarled and charged. Itachi dodged and weaved. He lashed out with his sword. It connected with Sasuke's red blade and Itachi dropped the hunk of molten slag that remained. Naruto-kun was very clear on the ability of the blades he possessed. Itachi thought as he kept putting distance between himself and his brother. I need to disarm him if I want to beat him. Itachi thought as he tossed the other blade at Sasuke, who swatted it aside with a snarl. Your end is now, Itachi. I will avenge our parents. Sasuke said as he lunged. Danzo, find the Kyuubi brat. Orochimaru ordered. The former councilman of the leaf vanished in a swirl of leaves. Sakura, unleash the Marauders. The snake Sanin ordered, and the cloaked Kunoichi next to him bowed. As you command, master. Sakura and 15 cloaked figures vanished, their target the Godime Hokage. Orochimaru watched as his army struggled. He didn't care about them. Their corpses would be useful in building his new army. Iruka ducked as a hail of shuriken rained down. He spun and came face to face with a cloaked figure. Iruka Yumino. Hello, my former teacher. A female voice said, and Iruka blinked. Sakura. That and more. The former Konoha Kunoichi said as she rammed a kunai into his gut, lifting him off the ground. I'll be sure to make your corpse a beautiful tool for my master. Sakura said as she twisted the kunai in her former teacher's gut. A fist impacted with her chest and drove her back. Iruka fell to the ground. Sakura's hood fell back to reveal her pink hair, pale skin and the black marks of the curse seal. Her yellow eyes were blazing in rage. Who dares? She raged. Standing there with Iruka was a woman with a quiver of arrows on her back, holding a bow and had purple hair. So, you're the whore that Naruto-sama warned me about. Nami said as she passed Iruka to a couple of genin who were tasked with removing the injured. Get him to the hospital. She ordered and spun, an arrow drawn. And you are? Sakura hissed, pulling out a pair of kunai. Nami Ishii, archer. Not for long. Sakura said and snapped her fingers. 15 figures appeared behind her. Kill her. As the cloaked figures began to move, she called out. Make it slow and painful. The 15 figures were on the move and Nami was leaping, her arrows flying in a blur of motion. Sakura looked around and vanished in a teleport. Nami was kicked out of the air and landed on the ground rolling hard. One of the cloaked figures landed and was going to kick her when there was a green blur. Dynamic entry. The arrival of Meta Guy saved her as his kick sent the figure back into the others. Team 9 had arrived along with Team 10. Nami-chan, are you well? Guy asked, his gaze locked on the 15 cloaked figures. I am now Guy-sama, thank you. Nami said, standing and picking up her bow. Man, Orochimaru's got more troops than there are clouds, what a drag. Shikamaru said as he took a lazy defensive stance. Will you shut up, you lazy slacker? Complain when we're winning. Ino hissed as she pulled out several kunai. Choji behind them was wielding a bow staff. He was dressed in guardsman armor and wore his family's crest proudly. Man, you know we're missing out on a great barbecue right now because you idiots had to attack today. The heir of the Akamichi whined. Same stakes, Neji-kun. Lee asked as he slipped into a fighting stance. Agreed. Neji said, and what everyone noticed was the spiked gloves he was wearing, a gift from Tenten and Lee. A laughter from the cloaked figures was heard. You Konoha nins are pathetic. We are Orochimaru's marauders, and you don't stand a chance. The 15 figures ripped off their cloaks. The Triad sisters. Triplets, each with a special power. One controls light, the other darkness and the last sound. Wraith. Altered by Orochimaru and Sakura, Wraith has the ability to phase through solid objects and do the same to others. Flare. Altered by Orochimaru and Sakura to control and manipulate fire. The Marauder's heavy cannon. Scalpel. A former medic nin that Sakura altered, uses chakra scalpels in attack jutsus, a dangerous in-close fighter. Beast. A savage young man that made the Inuzukas look tamed. Orochimaru's DNA splicing merged this young man with wolf DNA, now feral and a ferocious fighter for Orochimaru, his loyalty to his pack as unquestioned, and he fights with tooth and claw. An accelerated bastardized healing factor makes him deadly. Crystal. Young ninja with a bloodline that allowed her to shape and create crystals. Mutated by experiments from Orochimaru, she is now more crystal than human now, a living gem and deadly and hard to harm. Maul. Loyal to Sakura and Orochimaru beyond measure, uses a type of mental attacks that were stolen from the Yamanaka family years ago by Orochimaru while still part of Konoha. Maul has perfect several telekinetic moves and even to the point of creating Sai-kunai. Lady Genjutsu. Master of Illusions, a prostitute from the Fire Lord's court, she was trained by masters from many nations, and now in Orochimaru's crew she has become a deadly assassin. Javelin. Barely 13, but loyal to Orochimaru who saved him. This young nin's ability allows him to create chakra javelins and throw them. They impact with explosive results from the force of one tag up to 100 exploding tags. Buster. Big, strong and dumb. Buster is raw power personified. He becomes stronger with each hit. Gifted with the ability to absorb kinetic energy and make himself stronger, the powerhouse of the Marauder's skin is harder than steel with all the attacks he absorbed. If his mind was as sharp, he'd be more than muscle. Shockwave. Able to generate shockwave attacks, this nin was formerly of mist, and as an orphan was not missed when Orochimaru found her and enhanced her bloodline ability. Undertow. The masked nin is the second in command behind Sakura in the Marauders. Able to manipulate and generate water, Undertow has several lethal attacks, and in close has been seen using a chain sword that had jagged teeth. The 9 defenders of Konoha were outgunned, but they weren't going down without a fight. Now, a cocoon of sand engulfed Maul. Sand coffin. The marauders scattered as they heard. Sand burial. Gaara appeared with Tamari and Konkuro. Genetic trash. The cage said. Lord Gaara. Nami said. Odds are better now. 14 to 12. His raccoon-shaded eyes turned towards the marauders. Today is a good day to die. Hinata spun. Her cadence sending several sound ninja flying, their impacts with the walls leaving bloody smears. She wasn't concerned about them. Her eyes kept searching for Naruto and Mika. The battle had raged and they'd been separated. She wished she could have stayed closer, but the oncoming wave of invaders had taken her attention. She performed a flip kick and smiled. Hiashi was foolish to limit the Hyugas to just Juken style. Her time as Tsunade's apprentice had been good for her. She'd branched out her style quite a bit, and the memories from Jakaila had given her more. Hinata was concerned. The spirit's voice had become muted and in the last week she hadn't heard it at all. Shaking her head she went on the attack. 6 Cloud Ninja were foolish to cross her path. Naruto-kun, stay safe. She prayed as she went on the offensive, her new style deadly and fast. Iruka groaned as the Genin team tried to drag him from the battle. Hold on. He wheezed. They leaned him against the wall. Iruka-sama, one of the Genin asked. I'm okay Jingo. Iruka said. Give me your medkit. Iruka took it and pulled out several chakra pills, a blood pill and wincing a couple of bandages. Iruka, we need to get you to the hospital. The boy, Jingo said in concern. I'm fine. Iruka said. As he wrapped his ravaged torso. He winced and closed his eyes as he felt the gut wound pull. I don't have long. I need to make sure Naruto is safe. He thought. 3 thuds forced him to open his eyes and he saw the 3 genin dead. Shame. Shame. Shame Yumino. Iruka looked up to see Sakura standing at the end of the alley, a blood-soaked knife in her hand, her yellow eyes showing a hint of madness. I can't very well let my newest experiment get away, now can I? She walked towards him slowly and he struggled to his feet. His eyes looking at the genin. You didn't have to kill them Sakura. He said looking at his former student sadly. What has become of you Sakura? What happened to the caring girl who used to be in my classroom? Sakura sneered. Foolish Yumino. The girl you thought you knew was a persona. A fake. I was placed in the class as a spy first for Danzo, but now, I serve her faithfully at Orochimaru-sama's side. Iruka pulled a kunai. I liked that girl. Iruka said. You liked a lie. But then you would know about lies. You knew all about the Kyuubi and allowed that thing to be near children. She smirked. No matter. Lord Orochimaru will give me the fox to study. I might even grace your corpse with some of the research I will perform. She smirked and Iruka saw the black markings all over her exposed skin. I have no choice. She's crazy. I'm sorry Sakura, for the girl you were. Iruka thought and launched his attack. Orochimaru watched as the battles were unfolding. The orb in his hand showing him many battles at once. He sneered seeing Tsunade alone. It's time Haim. I think I will let you live when this is over. Orochimaru said to the image of Tsunade. Who knows, you might be able to birth a new ninja or two still, and if not I can harvest your genetics. Cloning has become a new hobby of mine. He said and with a flurry of hand signs, summoning jutsu. The puff of smoke and the size of the cloud alerted all that Manda was on the scene. Atop his head rode the snake Sanin. 2 more shouts of summoning jutsu filled the battle heavy air and the slug and toad bosses appeared. The final battle of the Sanin. Orochimaru taunted his former teammates from atop his summon. Let's end this. Jiraiya said. The 3 summons slammed together in an amalgamation of strength, guile and speed. While above them, the Sanin clashed. Tsunade led off with a leaping kick. Orochimaru dodged and spat his tongue out at Jiraiya who used his hair shield to thwart his former teammate's attack. A battle like this was difficult as all 3 knew the other very well. It was a battle long in the making. It was a battle of legends. Give up Tsunade. The leaf shall be destroyed today. Orochimaru said continuing to avoid the legendary strength of his former teammate. You may kill many today Orochimaru, but as long as just one person of the leaf lives, the will of fire shall never be extinguished. She said as she managed to tag him with a spinning kick that sent him flying towards Jiraiya. Orochimaru spun about and sneered at his perverted teammate. You I will enjoy killing. The snake Sanin launched a series of earth mud missiles. Jiraiya dodged them and his hands flashed through seals and he launched a geyser of steaming hot water. Mutual pedophile. Jiraiya said. Those watching would note that the intense battle, the Sannin did not call out jutsu names. Their attacks flowed from long-practiced use. Tsunade would attack and Orochimaru would avoid. He would attack Jiraiya and the Toad Sage would counter, and then Orochimaru would taunt Tsunade and offer her a token attack. It was like they were children, and this was nothing more than a long-running spar for them. Something that had never been settled in their youth was coming to a dangerous and decisive finish where the end would see the world without the Sannin as they were. Tsunade tagged Orochimaru with a flip kick, only to see him dissolve into a puddle of mud. Orochimaru slipped behind Jiraiya and stabbed him in the back with a kunai, only to watch it crumble into the dirt, revealing an earth clone. Jiraiya from under the ground pulled him in, attempting a headhunter jutsu, but Orochimaru pulled a substitution and a log found itself sticking out of the ground. Behind the Sannin, their summons were in a battle just as deadly. A long-time hatred between the three saw a battle royal of the Slug and Toad tag teaming the Snake Boss. Their attacks were deadly and the surrounding area took up major damage as the three summons battled it out. Katsuyu spat a wad of acid, Gamabunta with his blade and Manda weaving around, his huge body like a battering ram. Manda tried to sink his fangs into Bunta, only to have the Toad's blade in the way. Katsuyu tried to ram into Manda, the serpent's body weaved and wrapped around the slug, trying to squeeze her to death, but the slug boss melted into millions of tiny slugs, only to reform into the boss once more and have her spit a wad of acid, which was avoided. The Sannin once more ended up on their summons and Jiraiya yelled, "Bunta, give me some oil." The boss Toad was happy to oblige, and Jiraiya with spat a fireball and Manda with Orochimaru were engulfed. Remembering the last time they had battled, Jiraiya had Bunta leap, and it was a good thing as Manda erupted from below and would have gotten the boss Toad if he had been a moment slower. Tsunade leapt at Manda and the snake boss turned right into the chakra-enhanced punch and sent the snake flying. Orochimaru abandoning his summon to try and attack Jiraiya, sending a cloud of poison towards the mountain sage. Jiraiya saw the cloud of death and used a substitution jutsu. The poor Oto Nin died instantly. The Sannin battle was constant motion, and any they came close were dead soon after. Iruka ducked the slice and performed a leg sweep, but Sakura laughed as she leapt over it. Pitiful Yumino. Academy Basics. You won't win with that. No wonder you never were good enough to rise above the ranks. Sakura slashed and lunged, Iruka avoiding them, each movement causing his gut wound to send waves of pain into him and pump out more of his life's blood. Too like Sasuke. I never rose above the rank of Chunin at the time, because I preferred to teach. Iruka grunted as he ducked and spun, connecting with a spinning back elbow to Sakura's gut. An uppercut knocked her back, but she recovered quickly and landed on her feet. But if you notice, Sakura, I am a Jonin of Konoha. You are a missing nin, a traitor. Iruka went on the offensive, but Sakura blocked him and sneered. If you are what a Jonin of Konoha embodies, then Orochimaru is right and the leaf will be burnt to cinder. She hit him in the chest with a palm strike with her left hand and slash him arm with the knife in her right. Iruka staggered back and realized they were once more amidst the scuffle. I can't keep this up. I'm bleeding out too quickly. Iruka thought. I won't survive this. She's too fresh and she's flaunting the curse mark like a badge of honor. Sakura's yellow eyes studied him. Your end is now, Yumino. She lunged. Guy and Lee were enjoying the fight against Buster. The powerhouse of the Marauders pushed them to limits. Go Lee. Guy yelled as he blocked a roundhouse kick from the brute that drove him back several feet from the impact, and Guy knew he couldn't take to many of those without ending up with broken bones. Lee leapt high in the air over his sensei and delivered a leaping kick to Buster's chest. The powerhouse staggered back with a grunt. All around, the Marauders were engaged in battle with Team 9, Team 10, the Sand Siblings and Nami. Gaara and Crystal were in a deadly battle as the Cage found the woman to be vexing as she could create crystals from his sand and send it back to him. Konkuro was losing to Flare, the Firestarter was burning his puppets and the Puppet Master was running out of options. Undertow and Tamari were a stalemate as the wind and water users were in close quarters with Taijutsu. Neji was fighting Shockwave. The Hyuga was forced to use every trick to fight off the waves of destruction, his Kaden spin countering the destructive shockwaves the woman generated. Ten and Javelin were dead even, Ten throwing shuriken and kunai to block the explosive projectiles from the young member of the Marauders, the explosions in the air long being ignored by the others. Asuma using his skills as a guardian to keep Lady Genjutsu from being an issue, his trench knives keeping her too busy to focus. Choji using his bow staff to keep beast at bay, the savage marauder frothing at the mouth to cause damage, only to be smacked and shoved back by the Akamichi heir. Ino was fighting off Scalpel, the Yamanaka Kunoichi wary of the green chakra scalpels and knowing the damage they could do. Wraith and Shikamaru were stalemate as the ghostly Nin would phase out of the shadow bind only to be caught moments later. This left Nami against the triad. The archer was in constant motion, avoiding shadow-generated shuriken, spikes of light and sonic screams, all the while launching arrows back at the three who fought as one. She would land and have to perform a diving roll then leap and twist. She was wearing down quick under the constant assault. It wouldn't have been bad, but Lee and Guy need to tag team that brute. She thought after the initial charge where Buster had tossed a food cart at them that had been abandoned on the street. She found herself cornered and sighed. The three had her cornered and she was exhausted. It's time, the light user said. For you, the sound user continued. To die, the shadow manipulator said in a cold tone. They charged up their powers and were ready to annihilate Nami, who closed her eyes. Micah, I'm sorry, she thought, waiting for the end. Idendigan smirked as Naruto rushed out of the hole, his mekirtsupan blazing. You bastard. Idendigan chuckled as his own double blade blocked it. Shame about the dragonling. He had the potential to be great, but he allowed himself to bond with a weapon that should never have existed. A flurry of blows and the Tomb Guardian silently admitted to himself that Naruto was good. The boy has come far in a short time. My master is right. If I can turn either one, then Kami's barrier will fall. Idendigan with a Vunla wave knocked Naruto's feet out from under him. He put a boot on the boy's wrist that held the energy blade. Young fool. You had potential, but now, this is your end. Idendigan said and gripped the double blade to stab downwards. Naruto was stunned and unable to move when the wind ball slammed into the giant and staggered him back. Naruto smiled. Micah. He was relieved. When he raced out of the hole, he thought his brother had died from shock. Standing in the hole they had been knocked through was Mikahamaru Melwasu. His silver hair was whipping about. His golden eyes were glowing in rage. His left clawed hand was clenched and his right hand was lowering. In the light, the scales on his torso that could be seen through the torn shirt seemed to shimmer. You will pay. Micah snarled and lunged. Idendigan smiled. There is more to both of them than originally thought. Good. The giant spun. His attack aimed to decapitate Micah as he approached, but the Dragon Hanyu used his left arm to block the double-bladed mekirtsupan, and with his right hand he landed a hard punch to the giant's jaw. The Tomb Guardian didn't get a chance to recover as Naruto was up and slashing him with his purple-bladed saipan. Micah would block with his left and Naruto would lean in for an attack. Iden was stunned. They are fighting better now, was the sword handicapping the Draconian. He spun and was blocked again by Micah's scale-covered arm, and Naruto was nowhere to be seen. Micah attacked and Iden recovered ground until Micah caught one of the black energy blades with his left hand. From above, a shadow blocked the sun and Iden looked up to see Naruto coming down, and the giant released a hand from his weapon and Naruto cut the double blade in half. No. Iden was stunned. Micah flipped backwards and flipped the handle around. A second later the blade hissed to life, but instead of black it was silver. Impossible. Idendigan said as he adjusted his own grip on his now single-bladed mekirtsupan. Improbable. Micah corrected. Impossible is for those that already have given up. Naruto said. And we never give up. The pair said as they lunged. Idendigan was forced back and was amazed. They are increasing their speed. Is this the battle meld? But, the shadow should have removed the Draconian's Vunla abilities. I don't understand. How is this possible? Naruto and Micah were blocking and attacking, switching off randomly. Their fight had once more returned to the area where they first began. Iden used a Vunla push to try and give himself some space, but Naruto was ready and countered with one of his own, nullifying the attack. Micah connected with a flip kick to the giant's jaw and staggered him back. The three energy blades were blur of motion, the crackle as they connected and hummed through the air, indicating to those close enough to stay back. The after image of the blades the only thing the others able to see. The three were fighting at speeds not seen by the eye. Three blades connected with Naruto and Micah trying to push the giant back even more, but the Tomb Guardian would not be denied. It was then a shuriken zipped in and connected with Naruto's shoulder. The blonde nine-tail staggered back with a hiss. You. Naruto growled. The axe kick shattered a portion of the ground and Tsunade rolled aside as Orochimaru tried to take her head off with grass cutter. Each Sannin was bruised and bleeding a bit. Jiraiya was panting as he held his side where the damned blade of the snake Sannin had scrapped over his ribs after a series of attacks. You're not going to win, Tem. Jiraiya said. You can't stop me, fool. You and the flat chest will die, and your precious village will burn. Orochimaru said, spitting out a mouthful of blood. In the distance behind them, the boss summons were still going at it and showed no sign of fatigue. Suna fell first and the leaf is next. Over my dead body, Tsunade said and seemed revitalized as her fist connected with his ribs. Orochimaru sailed a distance backwards before going to one knee. Grass cutter stabbed into the ground, keeping him upright as he coughed up blood. Damn woman and her strength. Orochimaru cursed. I should have kept Sasuke or Sakura at my side. But they have their tasks in all this. I will hold on. I must. Orochimaru sank into the earth, avoiding a follow-up blow, and reappeared behind Tsunade. The slug Sannin sensed him and performed a backwards flip heel kick, catching him on the jaw and knocking him into the air. Oh yeah, Jiraiya yelled as he was descending from a chakra-enhanced leap. In his hands was a Rasengan and he smiled. Jiri Ya's here. The Toad Sannin yelled as he slammed the Rasengan into Orochimaru's spine. Tag Tem. Jiraiya said. You are out of here. Hinata spun about and saw Nami in trouble. She used a technique she had learned from Jakaila more than a year ago. Focusing her chakra, she vanished and reappeared next to Nami. Grabbing her, she shimmered away again and the corner she'd been trapped in erupted into rubble. Nami and Hinata reappeared. Whoa. The purple-haired archer said. What was that? Hinata smiled, her eyes bleeding to black. Line of sight teleportation. Better than Shushin and less chakra drain. She looked down at the triad. You go and get a safe place to fire from, I'll deal with them. But, go. I can deal with them. Vengeance is on my side. Hinata said, and Nami saw the transformation for the first time. Hinata's skin became chalk white, her eyes blacker than night. Go. Nami leapt away. She was up on a roof when she saw a flash of pink. She recognized Iruka and saw he was in bad shape. Oh no, you don't, you pink bitch. Nami thought, arming her bow and sending an arrow flying. Sakura was in a good mood. She would soon kill Iruka and add his body to her experiments. Kabuto-sama's notes were so helpful, and learning at the side of Orochimaru, she smiled at the thoughts of what she learned at the side of the Sannin since defecting from the Leaf Village. She was 2 arm lengths away from Iruka when the arrow slammed into the ground between her legs, tripping her up. She slammed into the ground hard, her knife skidding away. With a growl, Sakura sat up and tore the arrow from the ground before snapping it in half. She looked around wildly for who dared to take a shot at her, her gaze resting on a figure atop a nearby roof. Oh look, Iruka, another toy for me. Tell me, are you one of the Kyuubi brat's special people too? Sakura asked in a sickening sweet voice as she regained her feet. Nami armed another arrow and looked at the pink-haired girl that was covered with strange marks all over her face and arms that she could see. I am mate to his brother. Nami finally said. You once held a precious position, but no longer. Sakura laughed. Precious. That dobe was nothing. He is insignificant to the power Lord Orochimaru has given to me. My marauders are works of art, and once I have more time they shall become even stronger. Sakura said, pulling a short sword out from her cloak. You and Iruka here will be the first new foot soldiers when I am done. Sakura said as she leapt into the air. Nami released an arrow, but Sakura batted it aside with her sword that seemed to glow with blue fire. You are nothing. Sakura yelled as she descended. Nami fired 3 more arrows, and Sakura smacked them aside as well. She landed and Nami dodged aside, the sword showing flames. Flame tongue will scorch your flesh, but don't worry pretty, I'll make it all better. Sakura said, going on the attack and keeping it close, not allowing Nami a chance to arm another arrow and get in a good shot. Across the rooftops the pair fought. Below, Iruka went to his knees fully before sinking to the ground, his body no longer able to fight. Stop her, Nami. Don't make Naruto fight her. Iruka thought before he was engulfed by darkness. Hinata leapt into the air and her spinning attack surprised the triad, but what she did next confused them totally. Shadow Star. Suddenly there were 5 Hinatas in a pentagram formation, the triad in the middle. You are in the range of my divination. Your souls are stained with the blood of the innocent. All 5 Hinatas said at once. Prepare to be judged in the flames of hell. The 5 Hinatas were swallowed by pillars of fire. Hellfire. 8 trigrams, 320 palms, Judgment Day. 5 blurs crisscrossed and the triad were under an assault never seen before in Konoha's history. When Hinata stopped and the 4 others dissolved, the 3 who were triad were dead before their bodies hit the ground. Guilty. Hinata said, her gaze sweeping over the battle. Everyone seemed to be holding their own against the marauders. Her penance powered Byakugan scanning for those who needed her aid, and hopefully a glimpse of Naruto. It was then her eyes caught a flash of pink. Konoha Art of War, Hail of Spears. Jiraiya finished the jutsu and Orochimaru managed to replace himself with a mud clone before the spears rained from the sky and turned the clone into a pincushion. Sadly he reappeared in a tree, and Tsunade was below. Using her vast strength she uprooted the tree and shook him from it before using the tree to smack Manda into the air. Bunta. Oil. Jiraiya yelled. The toad boss spit a wad of oil and it connected with the airborne snake boss. Jiraiya finished his fireball and sent it up as well. Manda didn't have a chance to dodge and was engulfed in flames, the giant snake body hitting the ground hard and sending shockwaves all across Konoha. Orochimaru struck. Grass cutter piercing Tsunade's shoulder. She'd seen movement and had managed to turn, otherwise the blade would have pierced her chest and her heart. Ah! She screamed as Orochimaru twisted the blade. Jiraiya was there with a dropkick and knocked the snake Sannin away and forcing him to release his sword. Tsunade on her knees ripped the blade from her shoulder and glaring at her former teammate snapped the legendary blade in half, tossing it aside. You! Naruto snarled seeing Danzo there. What surprised him was the mechardsapan he was holding. Idendigan chuckled. What can I say? I knew he would need one to face you fairly. Mika and Naruto stepped back as Danzo walked closer. The whole battle had just changed with the arrival of the former councilman of the Leaf. Where did you get that? Naruto asked. Idendigan laughed. I made it, boy. I had a lot of time in the tombs. Kami didn't know what she was doing keeping me there all those centuries. Enough talk. Kill the Kyuubi like you promised Lord Orochimaru. Danzo spat. I don't follow your pedophile's orders, human. Iden said. But he saw the ghostly form of Kyuubi floating at the edge of the battle. A smile overcame the giant's face. Actually, I think I have a better idea. With a speed that only the Hiraishin could have matched, Idendigan grabbed Naruto around the neck, and then the impossible, his glowing blue hand reached out and grabbed the Kyuubi's spirit. I think it's time for you to retire, Kyuubi. He said, and he chanted in a language neither human nor demon could understand. Mika was going to intervene, but Danzo blocked his path. The two mechardsapan clashed together. Mika looked over the crossed blades, his draconian eyes narrowing. First you will witness the end of the Kyuubi, then you will see the end of Konohagakure. All is going as Lord Orochimaru planned. Bullshit. Mika said as his blade spun. He noticed the difference with wielding the mechardsapan over Stormbringer. There is no weight, he thought. He also could focus his wind into the blade easier and that surprised him. Left, right, overhand. The strike met with a dazzling display of crackling energy. Danzo kept himself between Mika and what was happening to Naruto and it was pissing the young Hanyu off. He used his left arm to block several of Danzo's attacks. The old warhorse is good, Mika thought. But when did he learn how to use a blade like this? Is his skills natural? Mika feinted a few times and he noticed that they were similar to the giants. Memory jutsus. He's copied the memories. Like Master Kwai did with me when I was younger so I could learn his kung fu style quicker, and by the time it wore off I was secure enough. Let's see how good Danzo is. Mika attacked with a flurry of blows and spin attacks. Danzo weathered them, backing up several times, uncertain how to deal with them. Behind Danzo, Idendigan finished his chant and slammed the Kyuubi's shade and Naruto together. The two screams became one and a blast of power sent Idendigan flying, dropping Naruto to the ground. Idendigan slammed into Danzo, both men rolling. Mika paid them no mind and raced towards Naruto, fear pushing his steps faster. Sliding across the ground on his knees, he rolled his brother over, fear that he was dead haunting his thoughts. Naruto. Itachi dodged and weaved Sasuke's attacks. He didn't have a weapon that could physically stop that strange blade his brother had stolen from Naruto. With a one-hand seal he spit a fireball at his brother who was forced to sidestep. As he did, Itachi struck. A palm strike to the wrist forced Sasuke to drop the blade. It deactivated before it hit the ground. Itachi wasted no time as he peppered Sasuke with a series of blows to the kidneys and an uppercut strike that knocked him into the air. Itachi leapt, planning on hitting him again, but his younger brother recovered and with a snarl backhanded Itachi hard. At the same time the elder Uchiha kicked him. The two rocketed backwards from one another, sliding across the dirt, their Sharingan eyes locking, and Itachi for 1 second thought of using the Mangekyo and ending this. His hesitation was all Sasuke needed to go on the attack. Using his curse seal he appeared before Itachi and rammed the Chidori into his chest. Die, you murderer! Sasuke spat in his brother's face as he dug the assassination jutsu deeper into his brother's chest. Itachi looked down in shock. How? He coughed up blood as he slid off his brother's hand, the life slipping from his eyes before he hit the ground. Sasuke began to cackle. Around him the battle continued. The Mangekyo Sharingan is now mine. Sasuke continued to laugh, unaware his eyes showed no change. Naruto felt like his body was on fire. He didn't understand what was happening, but the giant tomb guardian had done something. He opened his eyes to see that he was in the familiar venue of his mind. The pipes were golden, the ground was covered in solid marble, and it felt comfortable here. What the hell? He muttered, looking at the chases. He realized the pipes were his chakra pathways, beneath them were thinner ones that were nearly see-through. What are those? Your Vunla paths, a voice said, and Naruto spun about. He asked. The shade was solid, but looked washed out. I don't have much time, Kit. The Undertaker has begun a chain of events that will rock the Underverse. What? Don't talk. Listen. I'm dying. My spirit will go before Kami. You'll be on your own, Kit. Naruto shook his head from side to side, trying to deny what he was hearing. Kami is not in control. There are things that are happening, forces at work in her court that are manipulating events, and keeping her blind. Kyuubi said, his body seemed to become paler. Idendigan has plans for you and Micah. Resist him. Remember what I have taught you over the years, help you it can. Trust your mate, and your heart. Wait, I can't. Naruto worked the words out past the lump in his throat. You can, Kit. I know you can. You're stronger than I ever was. You have a good and kind heart, with a huge capacity to love and to care. Lead the Kitsunes well, smack Shippo a few times for me. But seek out Kwai Chong Kane on his mountain. He'll get you and Micah back to the Underverse. You both are needed there. It is becoming unbalanced. Big damn heroes. Save this worthless village that won't accept you. Then return to the Underverse, take your mate, be happy. Kyuubi faded even more and Naruto could see through him once more. I'll miss you, fuzzball. Naruto said, tears slipping from his eyes. And you, Kit. I will always be watching over you. Get the Draconian his own Mekurdsapan. I was wrong before. My foresight was blocked. And Naruto, know that I am proud of you. Take care, my heir, my son. And with that the Kyuubi no Kitsune passed beyond and entered Kami's court. Naruto dropped to his knees. Not another. He looked up. You won't take any more from me, you hear me? Idendigan stood over the boy's body and smirked. He looked at the Draconian and drew his blade. Just one more piece of business then. Snap, hiss, the black energy blade sprang to life once again. Micah looked up at him and standing pulled the one he'd taken and it came to life, its silver hue shining in the dimness of the battle. Use your anger. It is the only way you will beat me. Iden said, and Micah attacked, the left and right slashes driving the bigger man back. Danzo approached the body of the Kyuubi brat and he held his own blade in a reverse grip and was planning on plunging it into Naruto's body, ending his life when the blue eyes snapped open, the cornea blood red. Naruto rolled away and kicked up to his feet, his purple Mekurdsapan leaping to his hand and snapping on with a violent hiss. Danzo. He snarled. I am Naruto Uzumaki Kazama Namikaze, the former Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and heir to the Kyuubi title. Exiled Konoha Nin, holder of the Fox contract. Blood brother to the Wind Dragon, and mate to the Spirit of Vengeance. You killed my mother, prepare to die. Danzo barely got his own blade up to defend, and the flurry of attacks had him backing up. Some slipped through his defenses, his armor being sliced to pieces as Naruto kept the attack going. Micah with a burst of wind flipped over Iden and sliced him across the back, the giant's body armor being peeled off him. Idendigan couldn't believe it as he was on the defensive. The boy has changed, How? My master didn't mention this as a possibility. Micah used a wind whip to ensnare the giant's legs and with a wind ball knocked him over. I might not have the ability to use the Vunla, but I am the wind dragon, like my mother and grandfather before me. Idendigan looked at him in shock. You didn't think my mother never told me of my heritage. She sealed her memories in the back of my mind. And you unlocked the rest by destroying Stormbringer. Micah said as Iden got to his feet. So you know who you are fully. It will be that much greater to break you. Then, your mate won't survive. What? Iden deactivated his Mechardsapan and gestured with the hilt. Micah took a moment and looked over his shoulder to see Nami fighting Sakura. No. Nami found her bow knocked away and she turned, but the pink-haired bitch had vanished, which surprised her. She felt something and her world exploded in pain. Sakura rested her chin on Nami's shoulder. Surrender to death pretty. Your body will find new uses. Sakura said, twisting the knives she'd rammed into Nami's back, causing the purple-haired girl to spasm and cough up blood. Micah. I'm sorry. Nami thought as Sakura ripped the blades from her and moved away to find fresh prey. No. Micah seemed to blur as he skidded to his knees for the second time and he cradled Nami. Come on. Stay with me. He pleaded. He tried some of the medical jutsu he knew, but the wounds weren't closing. Come on, Pamujit beloved. Stay with me. Micah pleaded. Nami reached up weakly, her hand touching his flesh-covered cheek. Shish. Cough, it's okay. Cough, I at least, had you. Micah's eyes widened and he pushed more chakra into the healing jutsu. No. You can't leave me. Find another love. Make her, happy. Muhawi. I love you, and with that the light left Nami's eyes. No. The yell became a roar and around them the battle stopped. Idendigan smiled. He could feel the rage coming off the draconian. Now the push. He thought, appearing behind the mourning Hanyu. She never should have been here. He said. This village will never accept her for being your mate. All in all, it is your fault she is dead. Micah turned, his dragon eyes glaring at Idendigan, a rage burning so deep it heated the surrounding air. He growled. It was a deep chest rumbling growl. The air around him seemed supercharged, it crackled with lightning and the wind howled. Nearby ninja were thrown from their feet. Idendigan began to worry. Micah let out another roar and the tomb guardian saw the scales cover his whole face. Impossible, he's too young to change. Iden thought. Before him he heard the ripping of clothes as Micah began a transformation. His neck elongated, wings sprouted from his back along with a tail. His pants ripped and his torso showed to be covered with silver scales. His hands ended in sharp black claws. Spines formed along his spine as his face elongated and fangs filled his mouth. Kami, help us. Iden muttered in shock. Before him was a young silver dragon. From muzzle to tip of the tail was a good 15 feet. The wings spread out and Micah roared again. Iden saw the head swing towards him and he barely got his Mechardsapan up in time to block the blast of lightning the dragon spat at him. This was not planned. He thought as a second blast of dragon's breath knocked him backwards, his arms going numb from the impact. Hinata atop the roof saw Nami fall, and Sakura rush away. She felt tears slide down her cheek as Micah reached Nami's side and his cry of despair. Her eyes bled to black and she sought out the pink-haired bitch. I should have killed her the first time. She regretted it now, and knew that Nami's death was partially her fault. Her sharp eyes found her. Uruka-sensei. She vanished in a blast of hellfire and appeared before Sakura, who was raising her knife to finish off the unconscious Uruka. I don't think so. Hinata's guttural voice said as she kicked Sakura away. The pink-haired servant of Orochimaru looked to see who dared to interrupt her this time. Oh, look. The Kyuubi's whore has come out to die. Sakura sneered. She pulled a different knife. I had this one made special, just for you. You see, Lord Orochimaru has many ancient texts in his possession, and I was able to find this scroll how to make a blade that could kill immortals. Hinata's eyes locked on the blade. Mortal edge. Or in this case, a weak imitation. You've heard of it. Then know I am the usher of your death, bitch. Sakura lunged and Hinata spun, a spinning kick hitting the pink-haired nuke nin in the chest and knocking her back. I am far from helpless, Haruno. And you will pay for killing Nami, and all your other crimes. The two clashed, Hinata using a kunai to block the strange black and red blade. They were moving fast, blurs to those that were watching. I will kill you this time, bitch. Sakura snarled. And your soul will be shredded beyond repair, traitor. Hinata snapped back and with her empty left hand struck Sakura hard in the sternum. The pink-haired kunoichi dropped to her knees gasping for breath, the blade hit the ground and vanished in a puff of smoke. Hinata grabbed Sakura by the front of her armor and lifted her up till they were face to face. Your soul is stained with the blood of the innocent. You have been weighed, you have been measured, and Sakura, you have been found guilty. Hinata's black Byakugan eyes blazed. Look into my eyes. Penance stare. Sakura looked into her eyes, still gasping for breath. She looked into the black orbs and began screaming. She screamed, and then to the shock of Hinata began to laugh hysterically.